Today we'll have Abby's Disney World trip that's coming up on this episode 464 of WDW Prep to go. Hello and welcome to WDW Prep to go, where we talk strategy and ideas and have lots and lots of trip reports. I'm your host, Shannon Albert from WDWPrepSchool.com. Thank you for being here for episode 464. Today is another trip report. This one is with Abby, who recently did a trip in May with a select group of family members, including her mom, her sister, and her niece and daughter. And one thing I think is going to be interesting for a lot of people listening is the ability to combine the DAS reservations with lightning lanes, because I think this is something we get asked a lot about. If I qualify for DAS, do I need lightning lane? If I have to combine both, how does that work? And there was a lot of that this trip, but I always like learning from people, even if I'm not going to be using the DAS system. I really like being able to hear about Abby's experience, and I'll have that in just a minute. I do often remind people to follow on social media and to, submit for the trip reports if you want to be a guest to the Speak Pipeline, and all that is still true. But another thing I wanted to mention is that I think sometimes there's a disconnect between the podcast and the website. And in my mind, I work on both. And so it just feels like they're kind of the same thing. But I understand as a very avid podcast listener that sometimes it's hard to jump to other platforms when you're used to interacting with somebody in a specific place. But we do have a website with lots of information on it. So one thing that often happens is people become patrons and ask a lot of questions. And then the answers are links to articles that we have, because there is that disconnect. So sometimes people are just website readers. Sometimes they're podcast listeners. I would love it if you were both. A couple of things that we have that I wanted to make sure I'd mention was we do have a Disney dining plan calculator. So if you're trying to figure out if it's worth it for you, we have a calculator that not only tells you if we think it's worth it for you, but also tells you the order that we think you should make your dining reservations if you're staying on site and you're trying to figure out the best order for those. You can search WDW Prep dining plan calculator if you want to see that. But we also have a navigator tool where you can put in any 2 points at Disney World, and we tell you the best way we think to get there. If you've ever tried doing that in the My Disney Experience app, you will know that they have very, very strange directions in there. They literally will say, turn left, turn right, turn left. And it doesn't say where. It doesn't say where to turn left. It doesn't say where to turn right. It's just very random. I'm not really sure what they're doing over there, but we have very strong opinions because, as you all know, I'm obsessed with logistics. So we have a navigator tool, so you can search WW Prep Navigator if you want to use that and figure out how to get from point A to point B during your trip. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of mention some of our content here so we can sort of bridge that gap. So in part of that's my fault, like if I'm not telling you what is on the website, there's no reason for you to go. But those are a couple of the tools that I think are super helpful, and maybe you will find them useful for your trip. I think that is it for now. Without any further ado, here are my chats with Abby. Welcome to the podcast, Abby. Hi. Hi, good to talk to you. We're talking on Friday, May 2nd, and you told me you have a Disney World trip coming up.
Yes, we are leaving on May 13th, Tuesday, May 13th.
Okay. And May 13th through what date?
We come home Tuesday, May 20th.
Okay. May 13th through the 20th. And who's we?
So our travel party consists of myself, my 6-year-old daughter, my mom, one of my sisters, and a niece, a 19-year-old niece.
Okay. And how did you come to do a trip on these dates with these people?
Yeah, it's actually so my daughter just turned 6, but she is not in a traditional school. She has developmental and intellectual disabilities, so she goes to ABA therapy full time. And so we're really flexible in terms of when she's able to take trips and go places. And so we sort of arrived at these dates because Tuesday to Tuesday flights were much less expensive, and we thought it would just be a nice time of year to go. We definitely want to hit up the Flower and Garden Festival. So, no specific reason for these dates.
Hmm.
And originally, our travel party was just myself, my daughter, my mom, and one of my sisters. And then a couple of weeks ago, my niece, who is just finishing her freshman year in college, said that she will have a gap between classes ending and starting
Mhm.
a summer job and that she would like to go with us. So, of course, we had room and everything. So she is joining us.
Okay. And is this a first trip for anyone?
This is not a first trip for any of us.
Okay. Not a first trip. So that means everybody probably has their preferences about what, must do's.
Yeah, I would say we're all pretty flexible. So we have several folks who are annual pass holders. And so even though there are things that we all enjoy doing, we don't get bent out of shape if we don't get to something, we know we'll be able to do it again another time. So primarily, especially because we have 4 adults, and then as I mentioned, my daughter who has some special needs, we do a lot to accommodate what her needs are and also what she likes.
Where are you all staying?
We will be staying at Bay Lake Tower at the Contemporary. My mom is a DVC member.
What kind of accommodation? Studio or bigger?
A 1 bedroom.
Okay. And everybody's in the one bedroom?
Yes, we'll all be in the 1 bedroom. The Bay Lake Tower 1 bedrooms are really nice because they have 2 full bathrooms, and they have the 5th sleeper, so there's room for all of us.
Yeah. That's nice. Okay. And obviously you're within walking distance of Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
Lots of perks of being there. Okay. And how are you getting on Tuesday, May 13th? How are you getting to Orlando?
Yes, so we are all on the same flight out of Indianapolis. We're flying Southwest. It is a nonstop flight. We leave at 10:15 and arrive at MCO at 12:30.
Okay. And then how are you getting from there to Bailey Tower?
We have a rental car. We typically always get a rental car just for the flexibility, and even though we're gonna be at Bay Lake Tower, obviously we can walk to Magic Kingdom and do, the monorail to Epcot, but still like to have, the flexibility of having the rental car and not waiting around on anything.
Yeah, but I would argue that's a perfect reason to have the rental car because you're within walking distance of the one park that is really complicated to drive to, and
Exactly.
you can drive directly to all the other parks. So kind of a best of all worlds.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And then once you get to the Lake Tower and that afternoon, your room will be ready. But what other plans do you have on this day?
Yeah, so on this day, we'll be doing some sort of settling in and whatnot. We're hoping by the time we get there, our room is ready. Thinking we'll probably get there by 2 in the afternoon. If not, we'll kind of just, roam around the resort and maybe get a snack or something at the pool bar or something like that. I have a stroller delivery coming at 3
From which
from,
company?
yeah, from Orlando Stroller Rental.
Okay. And so you need to be able to meet them.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Are they one of the ones that has a place at the airport? I can't remember.
I think they do have a place at the airport. I've never picked it up at the airport before. Part of the reason being that we don't have the space in the rental car.
Exactly. You'd have to allow for that plus your luggage, plus all the people. So I can see pros and cons to the different methods, I guess, but I guess it is an
Yeah,
option.
yeah, and I use like a sort of a cheap umbrella stroller just to get through the airport with my daughter. She is ambulatory, she can walk and everything, but just like behaviorally, sometimes she might just lay down on the ground for no reason. So it's just easier, like if she has a space to be in and I have a little bit more control over that to push her. So I have a stroller to get through the airports and stuff like that, but we like to have a bigger, nicer stroller that can lay down and stuff for being in the park.
Did you apply for DAS for this trip
Yeah.
or you did?
Yes. Yes. Which is actually because my niece decided to come with us, is actually
Mhm.
complicating things logistically in terms of using DAS because of the changes that they made last year. Only my daughter and 3 additional people can use DAS with her. and we have 4 additional people. We've had a lot of discussions around how to navigate that. So, what we've decided to do, we don't know if this is gonna work or not, but we're gonna just be really flexible. I'm getting a multi-pass for my niece every day, and we're gonna just try to line up what lightning lanes that we can get for her, and then line up deaths with those so that we can ride as many things together as possible.
Okay. I was gonna ask you if you were also getting multi-pass or single pass lighting lanes, but it sounds like just for your niece.
Yeah, we're just gonna and part of the reason is cost, really. I mean,
Mhm.
it was gonna cost a substantial amount more to get the other 4 of us multi-pass and some single pass every single day of the trip when my daughter has DAS already. So, we all agreed we're just gonna be flexible. The DAS on the video chat, the DAS cast member told me that you can ask, at each ride, like, it's up to the cast member discretion. You can say, "We have this 5th person," because my niece is actually included. You could include more than 4 people on the DAS, but only 4 can go at a time. And so you can explain to them, "We have this extra person. Can she come with us, through
Mhm.
DAS using the lightning lane, or does one of us need to wait in the traditional queue and then meet up at a meeting point?"
But then it's a chance every single time, right?
It's you just don't know. It's totally up to the cast member discretion. And so we're gonna just anything that we can't line up with her multi-pass lightning lanes and DAS, we'll ask. And if they say no, then one of us will get some extra people watching time on a bench, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I can see that happening too, where just four of you decide to go.
Yeah, that's probably what will happen in some cases.
And then DAS can only be used on the things that your daughter is going on. So
That is
then
correct.
are you going on things that she's not interested in as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. So she is pretty adventurous. She is sensory seeking. And so she rides most things. And so there's most of the things she will be able to use DAS for. But there are some things that either I don't let her ride or she's just not quite tall enough. For those things, probably what we'll do is, like, my sister and niece may try to get there as early as possible, rope drop a couple of those sort of, thrill rides, and then maybe do ride or swap.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So I guess going back to Tuesday, May 13th, where you're getting your stroller rental dropped off at 3 o'clock. What else you got on this day?
Yep, and then we'll get a grocery delivery as well. I'm gonna do Walmart delivery, and one of us I may need to stay back depending on the time frame that I can get for the Walmart delivery, but we are planning to go to Magic Kingdom for that late afternoon, evening.
Okay. All right. And then Wednesday, May 14th.
Yes. So Wednesday I was gonna mention too, on that day when we go over to Magic Kingdom, I plan to stop at Guest Relations and get her stroller marked as a wheelchair. I prefer to do that in the afternoon because Guest Relations is really busy, usually, if you're going into a park in the morning, and so we will stop and get that done as well.
And you do that like once per trip and then it just
Yep.
applies.
Yep, you get a tag that just stays on your stroller, and, yeah, then she can largely stay in there till it's time to get on a ride.
Okay. Now Wednesday, May 14th.
Yes, Wednesday, May 14th, we are going to Animal Kingdom in the morning. I'd like to be there for early entry. It's at 7:30, so it's a little early, but I would like to try to get there as close to that as possible. I don't know that we really need to, but we're gonna try for that. And the plan would be that my niece and sister would probably go to Expedition Everest and ride. That's one that my daughter is tall enough for, but I won't let her ride.
This is an
Sh
intense one.
Yeah, I should have mentioned too, she is mostly nonverbal. So she communicates using signs, and she has a communication device on her iPad. But it's hard for her to tell us, like, what she's thinking, and so I'm just like, "Let's not we just aren't gonna chance it." That's pretty intense, even for a little thrill seeker. So we'll probably try to have them rope drop that. My plan is to try and get lightning lanes for my niece using the multi-pass for Navi River, Kali River Rapids, and the safari.
All right. Using the DAS L Lightning Lane combo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have plans for where you might eat this day?
Oh, yes, I do. So we really want to go to Nomad Lounge. I have never been there and I always want to go, and somehow it never works out. So I have made it a priority and let the rest of the travel party know we're going to go on this day and get some, some small plates and stuff like that.
Yes. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we go there a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
I want to try to maybe do the wilderness explorer stuff with my daughter. I don't know if she'll be into it, but she might be. So we might give it a try. And then also would like to make sure we get to at least Festival of the Lion King. If she likes that, we might try the Nemo show. I've actually never been to it. I mean, I've gone to Disney, like, we've been going to Disney World my entire life, like, my family's, like, huge, and I don't know why I've never gone to the Nemo show, but I've never been, so we might try it if she's the last time we went, she did not even like the Lion King show, she was just, like, not having it, so which was surprising to me, but
Yeah. They are definitely different vibes. I feel like Festival of the Lion King, anyone can enjoy it. And Finding Nemo feels, if you are a person that generally likes stage productions, then you will
mm,
like it. Not everyone's into musicals, not everyone's into a Broadway kind of show, but if you're into that, it's fantastic.
yeah, I would probably like it. Again, we have to do what my
Hmm.
daughter will tolerate, so I just don't know if it'll capture her attention enough.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's our plans for Animal Kingdom. Depending on the weather and sort of all of that, we might go out to, ride the train to Rafiki's Planet Watch and just kind of see the animals and stuff out there. But we'll probably plan to be done at Animal Kingdom, early afternoon and then go take a midday break.
Okay. So is midday break going to be part of your typical day here?
Yes, we are big midday break people. We always take a midday break.
Yes. That's me too, but some people like to go all the way through. So midday break, and then what do you think after that?
So we'll plan to go to Epcot that evening. I'm hoping that if we can get some of the lightning lanes early enough for my niece that we can then start getting some for Epcot, for
Mhm.
later in the afternoon or evening. We'll see what we get. I know that Frozen Ever After and Remy's, they tend to sell out really quickly, but I'm hoping, like, if we can especially because Animal Kingdom opens so early, if we could get something 18 or 8:30, we could actually get one of those for the
That's
evening.
actually a really great point. You can use Animal Kingdom's opening time to your advantage.
Yeah,
You'll get in there before most other people have a chance.
yeah, yeah. So, we'll just see what happens with that, and our plan will be in to mostly stay in World Showcase at Epcot. We like to do the scavenger hunt. I think my daughter will really like that. She loves finding things, so I think she'll really enjoy that. We might try to do some KidCot fun stops as well and see if she enjoys those. We're pretty relaxed people, so we're not, like, just as, like, ride or attraction focused. We like to kinda wander around and take our time doing things, so we definitely will be doing festival booths and just kind of snacking. That'll be our plan for food.
Okay. Snacking and festival booths for dinner, basically.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to Thursday, May 15th.
Yes. Oh, I should say on Wednesday, we might try to stay for Luminous. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just play it by ear, but I would like to try and see that at least once while we're there.
Okay. And
Um
you talked about this day as Animal Kingdom and Epcot. And it's because you have a rental car, does that mean you'll be driving to both?
So we're definitely driving to Animal Kingdom, and then we'll probably take the monorail to Epcot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Thursday, May 15th.
Okay. This will be Epcot in the morning, And we will plan to stay, sort of towards the front of the park and, kind of doing, like the imagination, living with the land, Soarin' types of things. If I can, when I get lightning lanes, I'm gonna try to get Remy as early in the day as I can. This
Mhm.
is the issue. I haven't really done lightning lanes because we use DAS when I go
Mhm.
with my daughter. So this is like a learning process for me too, but I've realized especially if you're park hopping, it's difficult because getting something like Remy's, a lot of times they only have something in evening time
Mhm.
available. So we'll see. We'll see what we can get. If we can get something for like mid-morning for Remy's. It's 2 days into our trip, so maybe I'll see what I can get.
Okay.
And then I also plan to get a single pass for Guardians. I haven't totally decided yet if I'll just get a single pass for everyone except for myself and my daughter, because I know they will my mom and sister and niece will all definitely wanna ride it. My daughter rode Guardians, she's tall enough. We went for a few days over Labor Day, and she did ride it, and she didn't dislike it. But it's also kind of intense. So, it may be something that we do, like, later on in the trip after she's maybe kinda gotten warmed up a little bit to some other, like, roller coasters.
Yeah, does she remember going on it? Would she be able to tell you if she wanted to go on it again?
It's really difficult to say, honestly. I show her we have videos of her on different rides. It's almost impossible to take a video on Guardians.
It is.
So, I can't show her that. We
Mhm.
also watch, like, point of view or POVs on
Mhm.
YouTube, and she'll point to herself, and that's her way of saying, "I wanna go on that." It's, again, really hard with Guardians because it's dark, and so she can't really it's just harder. This is a challenge with a kiddo that's nonverbal and can't really express. When she sees a ride, like Slinky Dog or Mine Train, she sees it and she can expect what's going to happen, and she can say, "I wanna go on that" in her own way, but she can't see Guardians, and so it's hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a common issue for parents of lots of kids, which is,
Mhm.
like, how do you know if they're gonna be into it when you can't see it?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah, so we may like I said, it may be something just out of caution that I don't have her ride on this day, but maybe later after she's done, like Slinky Dog and some other things, like maybe and I know that she's feeling pretty adventurous, maybe we'll try it later. Yeah.
okay, what else on this day?
Then we have a reservation at Via Napoli at noon on this day.
Okay. So you're planning to stay mostly in the front of the park, but that is gonna be a hike to the back.
Yes, it will be.
It will, as
Uh
as just how Epcot works, I guess.
It is, there's not much to do about it. That's kind of where I was hoping if I could get a Remy Lightning Lane, and honestly, even if I don't, we might just use DAS
Mm,
to kind of go back that direction and stop and ride Remy. One of us just won't go, or we'll ask if we can all go, and if not, one of us just won't go, and then go back to Via Napoli, and maybe if the friendship boats are there running, I think. Yeah,
mhm.
we might use one of
Yes.
those
Yes,
to
it's
leave.
just Epcot just has an embarrassment of table service restaurants back there. So it's
Yeah,
like you almost have to unless you're committed to Space 220 or Garden Grill or something.
yes. Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah,
what's after that?
after lunch, we will again take a midday break at this point and probably do a little bit of a longer midday break this day. If the weather is good, we'll swim, maybe get a later, like whenever we're hungry, maybe at 4 or so, we might do like pool bar snacks or something like that, and then plan to go to Magic Kingdom in the evening.
Okay. And any particular goals at Magic Kingdom?
Not really. Again, we'll probably try to sort of stack up some lightning lanes, just we might just see what's available. I think it's a lot easier for Magic Kingdom to find things that we'll be
Mhm.
able to do for that. Yeah, but nothing specific.
Okay. Friday, May 16th?
Friday the 16th will be Hollywood Studios. We're probably gonna stay at Hollywood Studios this whole day. We won't I don't think we're gonna park hop, but we will still take a midday break.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we might sleep in a little bit, especially if we are able to stay up for fireworks the night before. If my daughter will sleep in, we'll see. And then I'm hoping to get lightning lanes for Slinky Dog, Toy Story, Midway Mania, and then we'll see what else. Maybe I'm kind of thinking of doing something that I know I can get something really early like Star Tours
Mm.
and then be able to get Mickey and Minnie's for later in the day.
So you can churn a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What else? And do you have dining plans on this day?
Yes. So we actually do, but it'll be our dining plans will be actually after our midday break. We have 50s primetime Fantasmic package. So that's at 4.
Okay. Then that means your midday break obviously has to start pretty early.
A little earlier. Yep. Yes. So we'll see. And we'll probably take a little bit of a shorter midday break on this day, depending on what time we get started. But yeah, we'll come back and do 50s prime time at 4 o'clock. And then I just kind of have some notes about maybe trying to meet some characters. It's difficult. I'm not a fan that they took lightning lanes away from all the
Hmm.
character meet and greets. They didn't all have them in the first place. We definitely would use them. So, I don't know, we're just gonna have to see. My daughter really likes Toy Story characters, so but those lines for Buzz and Woody and Jessie get really long, so
Really long. And they're kind of out in the sun.
yes. Yep, there is it's not a good waiting situation for
It's
those.
not. And it's such a bummer.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And obviously you're saying too Fantasmic.
Yes. The plan will be to watch Fantasmic, yep.
Have you seen that before?
I have not seen Fantasmic since it came back after
Mhm.
COVID. I've been a lot of times before that, but I haven't seen the newest version.
Which means your daughter hasn't seen it either.
Actually, she has. She has seen it. We went last June. Yeah, almost 2 Junes ago, I guess, and she went with my mom, and my husband and I went and did something different for that evening, so she actually has seen it.
Okay. So it's just you.
Just me, yeah.
It's you getting caught up since it came back. Okay.
Yes.
And so, and the reason I asked is because for some kids that is scary. So obviously she did fine with it.
Yeah, she doesn't really understand the concept of, like, spooky, scary, so stuff like that does not bother her. She kinda thinks it's funny, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so things like Haunted Mansion or she just doesn't even understand the concept of it, so it doesn't bother her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on to Saturday, May 17th?
No, that's it for Friday.
Okay. What's Saturday?
So Saturday is a no park day. We do have a reservation for Topolino's Terrace at 10. We are so I had made all of these dining reservations obviously before my niece planned to go with us. I was able to add her to all of them except for this one because it's a difficult reservation to get. So I've just been looking every day to see if I can get a reservation for just one person and then we could like around the same time to see if they would work with us. But I I know a lot of times people cancel kind of
Mhm.
in a day or two preceding, so kind of just hoping that we can get one in the couple days leading up to it.
Yeah. I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. Have you had this breakfast before?
No, we have not been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am really excited. So I don't know what we'll do if we can't get her a reservation. I'm not sure if I guess she could just stay at the hotel. I don't know if we just like kind of came with 5 and said, "Oh, we have an extra
Mhm.
person," if they might
That's what I would
try
do.
to
I
accommodate.
I would
Is
keep
that
trying.
okay?
I would keep trying, but
Yeah.
if you can't, I would just show up.
Yeah. We called and they said they made a note on our reservation that we are trying to get another person in. So it's like we're trying to do everything we can, but
Mhm. Okay. What is after breakfast on this non-park day?
so it might be like weather dependent. We probably will go to Disney Springs at some point, on this day. It's going to be busy probably because it's a Saturday. but we definitely like to at least go to the World of Disney and a couple of those other stores over there. So we'll probably do that at some point. And then if weather cooperates, mostly just kind of being at the pool and relaxing. My hope is that we can take the monorail to the Polynesian for to get dinner at Captain Cook's.
Nice.
I've noticed that there's like a pop-up that says you can only mobile order if you're a resort guest. So I don't know if it won't let me submit an order for Captain Cook's or not.
That's so interesting because I think they typically do stuff like that when it is really busy. But as we're talking, because sometimes I pretend to mobile order from home because you
Yeah,
can.
that's what I've
And
been doing.
and so it's saying that to you.
Yeah, I've checked a couple times this week, and it said it for all the monorail resorts.
Yeah, right now they only have the other, let's see. Oh no, here we go. Captain Cook's begin order. Testing it live. It's letting me.
It didn't pop up to say you have to be a resort guest. Okay.
No, I'm betting it's only when it's really busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's letting me, but it comes and goes.
Okay.
So
If that happens, I was trying to read a little bit about it, like, if that happens, like, I was reading some people said you can just click OK and order anyway, and it lets you actually submit the order. So, I'm not sure. If something like that happens, we might just go ahead and try and see if it lets us submit the order, then obviously it's not a big deal. But if not, we'll have to adjust where we're gonna eat dinner.
yeah, you have other options, I guess, but I think that's just an indicator of when it's busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we move on to Sunday?
No, on Saturday, I do have a note here that if my daughter ends up going to bed at an early-ish time, my sister and I might try to go over to the Grand Floridian and get like a drink at the Enchanted Rose or something after she goes to bed. But that's sort of a tentative plan.
Okay. What are your plans on Sunday?
On Sunday, the 18th, we will be going to Magic Kingdom. Early entry is at 8:30, and on this day, my daughter has a reservation for Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique at 8:50.
Has she ever done that before?
No, I have 0 idea what to expect. Truly, I do not know if she will like it. I don't know if she'll be like if it will just weird her out and make her uncomfortable. I don't know. She loves getting her hair done.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. How does she feel about like a typical haircut situation?
Well, yes. So she loves getting her hair done at
Mhm.
home and at ABA therapy. She's constantly like on her communication device, she has a whole menu about doing her hair because she likes to talk about doing her hair and how we should do it. And so I'm hoping that but these are people she doesn't know in an
Mhm.
environment novel to her. So I don't know what to expect if I think usually in situations like this, if I could kind of predict if she sees other kids doing it,
Uh-huh.
that she'll be like, "Oh, okay. Like, this seems like this is a fun thing to do."
Yeah, it sounds like she has an interest in it, so maybe it'll be, like, right up her alley.
Yes. Yeah, I hope so. I think it'll make her feel more comfortable to see, like, other kids there doing it, and, like, then it's, like, something that she wants to participate in too. So, hopefully, she enjoys it, and we have a dress of hers that we're taking that I think will be more comfortable for her. So
One that's not so itchy.
exactly.
Those they need to do something about those itchy dresses.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So and she likes wearing it's got, like, sparkles and stuff on it, so she likes wearing that stuff.
Mhm.
I think that she really will feel like it's special, and she loves getting her nails done, like, at home, painting them.
I hope she loves it as
Yeah,
soon as
so
she would like and how she feel about taking pictures
she likes to take pictures.
because she's gonna be looking great in the pictures after her appointment.
Yes. So as long as she's in a good mood, that's why I scheduled it early, so that we're not dealing with any like late afternoon, grumpy or tiredness. But generally, like if she's in good spirits, she loves to take pictures and videos she likes to look at those of herself. So I think
Okay.
she'll like it. Yeah.
What's after the salon?
So tentatively, we'll kind of just be seeing what are things we haven't done yet. I'm thinking for lightning lanes on this day, I'm gonna try to get like Peter Pan, and then, we might try to kind of do other things in that area, like Small World, Haunted Mansion. My sister wants to do the Smell-o-Fence on Parade, so we'll we might go back there and check that out too. And then we have lunch reservation at the Grand Floridian Café at 12:05.
Okay. Have you been there before?
Never been there.
Okay. All right. What else? So what's after lunch?
So we'll take a break this afternoon, and so this after on Sunday and then the next day in the afternoon, it really is going to be kind of last minute, like, in terms of what we're gonna do, and it's gonna probably be based on what things haven't we done or do we wanna do again. So, potentially, like, if especially if my daughter really liked the things at Animal Kingdom, we might go back and just then have an early evening or maybe back to Hollywood Studios. We're gonna have to decide that morning so that we can use lightning lanes, but I'm not really sure. It's open,
Okay. So evening plans are flexible.
flexible. Yep.
It just depends on how the rest of your trip goes, I guess.
Yeah, and if we don't get to see the fireworks show at I keep calling it the fireworks show at Magic Kingdom because I can't remember what the name of it is now.
Happily ever after.
Okay, if we don't get to Happily Ever After a few days before this, then this might be like a second option to be able to do that.
Okay. And then Monday, May 19th, I believe, is your last full day.
Correct, and we'll be doing Epcot in the morning at least. We unfortunately, we had to like, we can adjust these, but because we have seat holders in our
Hmm.
travel party, we had to make park pass reservations.
I feel you.
So,
Sometimes we make them on the walking into a park. Full disclosure.
yeah, I've already changed one of them. So, I mean, I like, none of the days are, like, sold out or anything or, blocked out. So, we can change
Um,
them,
you
but
can change them, but you're right. You do have to decide.
yes.
And then
Yes,
also, I guess because your niece is using multipass lightning lane, you have to also
that's
decide
correct.
to purchase for her.
Yep, exactly.
So,
Yeah. So I prefer not to have I love planning, but I don't like being locked into plans like that, so but it's okay. We're at least gonna go to Epcot in the morning on this day, maybe try to sleep in and kind of have a little bit of a slower start. If we didn't do Kid on another day in Epcot, we may focus on letting my daughter do the Kid stops on this morning. Well, once World Showcase opens.
okay. Then what else?
Yep, so we'll do our regular midday break, and then again, afternoon is totally flexible. I could see us probably going back to Magic Kingdom just because it is our last day and we can walk there, and it might just be sort of more convenient to be able to
Mhm.
just walk back. Yeah,
Exactly. You don't have to worry about the transportation there.
yeah.
All right. So potentially ending your trip with an evening at Magic Kingdom, but
Yes.
flexible, it sounds like still.
Yeah, if there was something we really just didn't get to or wanted to do again, we could do that too.
Okay. And then Tuesday, May 20th is your departure day.
Yeah, so our flight leaves at noon. So we'll probably be leaving for the airport, I'm thinking, mid-morning, 9:30, 9:45-ish. I have the stroller pickup at 8:30 on this day. So then just packing up and leaving, and then we arrive back in Indianapolis at 2:25.
Okay. Just in time for your niece to go start her summer job.
That's right, yeah, and I have to get home that evening for a baseball game for my son.
Okay. All right. Is there anything on this trip that we haven't talked about yet?
I wanted to mention that I'm trying something new with my daughter that I haven't tried before. Especially because she is older and she is quite active. She's never ran away from me or anything, but it worry it's of course, this happens all the time. I got lost at Disney World as a child, but because she's nonverbal, like, she wouldn't be able to stay, tell anybody. So and she won't tolerate leaving, like, a bracelet. They make bracelets. So I ordered they're like tattoos. And
For people
so
watching
I
video,
ordered
she's holding them up.
yes, they're really cute when they
Mhm.
say her name and it says I'm nonverbal and then has my phone number on it. So we're gonna try to put one of those on her each day and hopefully she likes them. Yeah. But I just wanted to mention that because we haven't used those before.
Yeah, and people are gonna ask, "Where did you get them?"
Yeah, I can send you the info. I got them off Etsy.
Okay. I'm gonna put the note to link it to the shop and I can get that from you later.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, this sounds good. I hope you guys have a great time, and I'll talk to you in a few weeks when you get back.
Okay, thanks.
Whether you're into a quick gloss and go or full glam with bold colors, we all have that one product we can't live without. For me, it's the Thrive Causemetics Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. It gives my lashes unbelievable length and definition, like extensions in a tube. And with 6 shades that don't clump, smudge, or flake, it stays flawless all day. Plus, removal is a dream. It slides off with warm water, no tugging required. The best part? Thrive Causemetics is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients. And when you shop, you're giving back. They've donated over $150 million in products and cash to support causes like cancer, homelessness, and domestic abuse. High-performance beauty that gives back? That's something I'll always stand behind. Try your new trusty favorites with an exclusive set for our listeners. New customers can get the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara and a mini-sized Brilliant Eye Brightener at a special set price with free shipping at thrivecosmetics.com/beauty. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/beauty.
So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So, what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Are dry eye symptoms frequently interrupting your day? Keep dry eyes off your schedule with Refresh Reliever PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your eyes. With innovative hydrocell technology to lock in moisture and prevent further irritation, Refresh Reliever PF Extra gives you lasting relief. Equipped with a soft squeeze multi-dose bottle featuring a double lockout system that keeps drops sterile, so you can feel confident using it. Refresh has been delivering relief from dry eye symptoms for 35 years. It's a track record of success that has earned the trust of physicians and patients alike. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
Welcome back from your trip, Abby.
Hi, thanks.
We're talking on Saturday, May 24th, spending our Memorial Day weekend together. You've been back for 4 days.
Yes, we got back Tuesday evening on the 20th.
How was your trip?
It was wonderful. We had a really good time.
Okay. That is good to hear. I'm excited to walk through it. Let's start with Tuesday, May 13th, where you were flying from Indianapolis to Orlando and arriving around 12:30.
Yes, the flight went well. Everything was smooth. We actually got in about 10 minutes early, so we landed at about 12:20. Everything at the airport went well. Our bags, sometimes it's a little bit of a gamble at MCO, but our bags actually came off in a decent amount of time. So we landed at 12:20 and we were at baggage claim at 12:50 and had our bags and got our rental car. I always do Alamo because you can, it's like there's no check-in counter. You can just bypass all of that, walk up to them, and go get your vehicle. We've had some nightmare scenarios with the check-in lines at those car rental places at MCO.
It can take a very long time.
Yes.
Yes. Also, we're also Alamo people. That's all I use.
Yeah, honestly, especially at MCO, when you can do the skip the counter, it's worth I don't really think it costs a lot more. It's worth it to do the Alamo. So that went well. We were actually at Bay Lake Tower, which is where we were staying at 1:40. So that seemed like a pretty, I was hoping we would get there by about 2. And so we were a little bit earlier than that even. Our room was not ready yet, so no big deal. We actually went over to the Contemporary, got lunch at Contempo Café, which was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular, but we were all really hungry actually, so it did the trick. We also spent some time shopping over at Contemporary. Those are some of my favorite stores.
Absolutely. Even if you're not staying there.
Yes, yes. We always make a stop at Contemporary to go to the stores because it seems like sometimes they have unique things that I can't find or haven't seen in other stores. So we enjoyed shopping around there for a little while. It actually rained for a little while during this time while we were over there. And this was the only time it rained the whole time we were there,
Wow, that's not bad.
which was amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
It rained for a little bit, which we were inside, so it didn't matter really. So we kind of just hung around the resort. I had the stroller being delivered
Mhm.
this afternoon, and so they came. I think actually they texted me to see if I could meet them a little bit early at 2:30, which was fine. So I went and met them at 2:30. Our stroller was brand new. Usually you get one that's a little bit it's been through it a little bit.
Yeah. You would expect it, right? Because it gets rented
Yep.
so much.
Yeah, so we just luck of the draw, it was like you could tell it had maybe been used once before, but it was brand new, so that was really nice. Our room was still not ready, and it was just taking a really long time, so that was kind of a bummer. It wasn't a huge deal, but it was just kind of a bummer because at that point, we, didn't really have anything else to do, and everything outside was wet because even though it was done raining, it had just rained, and so we were kind of just trying to hang out outside and let my daughter play, on some of the little lawn games and stuff, but we had a grocery delivery, that was scheduled between 3 and 5, and I got notification that they were gonna arrive at 3:50 from Walmart, and actually, as I was waiting outside for the grocery delivery because I was trying to then figure out, I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna have to arrange then with Bell Services to hold our things because we had refrigerated things and our room still wasn't ready. And so, I talked to them and they said, no big deal. I took a card out and was just gonna have them hold things till our room was ready. But while I was waiting, we got the notification that the room was ready. So that worked out actually very nicely. So we didn't have to hold anything at Bell Services. We so I went ahead and got the groceries, and then my mom and sister and niece were simultaneously getting the bags out of the car to take up to the room, and we had a one-bedroom, and the room number was 8436, if anybody's interested. It was a great view. It was really nice. We have stayed at Bay Lake Tower before and had a lake view, but it was on, the inside of the tower, so you could see, the Bay Lake pool, but this one was on the outside, so our view was actually of the Contemporary. We saw, the original Contemporary resort. You could still see the lake, but we could see the monorail coming and
Mhm.
going, all the boats and everything like that. It was really nice.
And what about the space? I can't remember. Have you stayed in a one bedroom before?
Actually, we have stayed in a two-bedroom at Bay Lake Tower before, but the space was great. It was honestly fabulous, and it was one of the renovated ones, and so we really liked the artwork, and they had some really neat photographs that were, blown up of opening day or, construction of the Contemporary in the room, and so that was really cool. And, yeah, the space was fantastic. The living area, it was, a really wide open space. And then they have a table with a couple of chairs and a bench, and then they had 2 stools at the island countertop, which was also really nice.
Okay. So good space. I'm glad you got in right in time for your groceries.
Absolutely. Yes. And it's funny, I know that another recent trip report also stayed at Bay Lake Tower, literally the days before we did. And I think she mentioned that they didn't have scissors and she didn't know if that was just her room. No, there were no scissors. I can attest. No scissors. And
I think
so,
she also said she felt like the living room was small.
yeah, that's interesting because I felt like it was really spacious for us. And we like, the windows are just, like, huge. They're almost
Mhm.
floor to ceiling windows, and so we just took the chairs, like, from the table and the island and pulled them up to the window, and that's where we sat most of the time because
Mhm.
we wanted to watch what was going on outside. So, that worked.
I did think if I recall, it was the lack of seating that seemed to be an issue. So you just brought in the other chairs.
Yeah, we just kinda pulled them over, and that's where we sat most of the time, and it worked well for us. But yeah, just I can attest they did not have scissors, and I will also say because they didn't have scissors, the only thing we could use to cut anything was, like, either a paring knife or they had this really big butcher knife. So I put those up, like, in a high cabinet. So for anyone who has little kiddos who might investigate in the kitchen, just maybe take a peek in all the drawers beforehand and put those
Mhm.
away because they were just in the drawers, that are not locked or anything. So,
Mm.
yes. So, after we got kind of settled in, unpacked, all of that. Oh, I also wanted to mention we could see Epcot and Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios.
Nice.
It was crazy. It was so cool. Yeah, so we unpacked and then we headed over to Magic Kingdom at about 5 o'clock.
Okay. Did you stop at guest relations?
We did. We stopped at guest relations and got my daughter's stroller marked as a wheelchair, which was pretty quick and easy to do.
And I know that people do this a lot, but can you just explain the benefits to that versus just using the wheelchair?
Yes. So, I mean, we get a stroller for her because she's 6, but she's still small enough to fit in a stroller, and it's just much more comfortable for her. Like, we can lay it down and that type of thing, and so when you get it marked as a wheelchair, she doesn't always have to stay in it or anything, but at least for my daughter, she has I think I mentioned this on the pre-trip report, but she has a rare genetic disorder, and so she has developmental delays, but it also causes some, like, physical things as well, so she has, like, low muscle tone. So
Mhm.
while she is ambulatory, she's actually a very active child. It can be really actually hard for her to stand or walk for long periods of time. So, especially in lines where, sometimes some of those lines, like, are very long to walk from the
So
entrance.
instead of having to park your stroller in stroller parking, you can take it in the queues
Yep.
so she doesn't have to stand in the queues. And then what happens to the stroller like when you get ready to board a ride then?
It kinda depends on the ride. Most of the time they will take it from you right before you get on, and then they deliver it to the exit, and it's just waiting for you when you get off.
Okay.
Some of the rides, it kind of depends. Some of them don't have the ability to do it exactly that way, and so sometimes you end up, like, going in an exit and having to get on that way, but that's not most of them. That's not the typical.
How do you know when you approach an attraction how it's going to work?
Experience, or you can ask the cast member. I mean, you can ask them, like, how, they will say I should say this. So, they always will look for the tag because you can't take a stroller in. So they'll, I'll, like, flip it up sometimes so they can see it, and they're like, "Oh, okay, you're okay." Almost always, they will say, "Is she comfortable to transfer?" Because that can make a difference. So if she couldn't transfer out of it herself, then they would have a different way to accommodate her,
Mhm.
but she can. So that's why we can just park it. And it depends on the ride again, because sometimes they'll say, "Can she transfer and can she stand for 2 or 3 minutes and walk a short distance, or could she walk on a moving walkway?" and that type of thing. So they're really good about making sure that they're asking those questions of anybody who comes in the line that has accommodation needs.
And that would be true of somebody in a wheelchair as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So for her, she can transfer okay. She can stand and walk short distances. So that makes it a little bit easier for us. I think if it's a different need, then, I'm not sure what happens in those cases.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very convenient for us though, for her to be able to do that. She's too heavy for me to carry now, really.
Mhm.
So it would be really difficult for me to do that. Yeah, so we got her stroller marked, and then I had purchased a single lightning lane for my niece. If you remember, we had the lightning lane combo with DAS that we
Mhm.
were gonna be testing out. So I had gotten a single lightning lane for Mine Train, and then as soon as we tapped into Magic Kingdom, I got the DAS for Mine Train, and it was a 65-minute wait. So with DAS, you have to wait the length of the standard queue minus 10 minutes. So we had 55 minutes before we could tap in. So we actually went and headed over to Country Bears. We had not seen the new Country Bear since it's been redone with new music and spruced up a little bit. And on our way there, we walked by the spring roll cart, and I had not planned on getting spring rolls, but there was nobody in line.
That's rare.
It was rare, and I looked at my sister and I was like, "We've gotta get spring rolls. There's nobody in line." So I went over and got a couple of orders of spring rolls really quickly, and then we headed over to Country Bears and ate them on the way. I had to note that my daughter really liked the Country Bears. Which was funny. I didn't know if she would. You just don't know. But she really liked the ones that are, like, on the wall, like the moose and all of that. She was, like, watching them the whole time to see what they were doing, but she really liked that show. Then then after that, we actually headed over to Mine Train, and we tapped in for that at 6:13. We ended up still waiting. I mean, I know 10 minutes isn't a long time, but sometimes when you have a lightning lane, it feels like that's kind of kind of a long time, but we waited about 10 minutes before we got on. And this is always a fun ride for us. My daughter absolutely loved this ride. She's loved it before, but she really liked this and was laughing the whole time, she asked for more. She uses signs, so she was saying, "More, please."
That's cute. Did everybody in your group ride?
Yes. Yes.
Your mom, your sister, your niece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, we all rode. And then after this, because only my sister and I got spring rolls, so we were, like, kind of good on food, but this is a theme a little bit of our trip is that my sister and I are a little bit more adventurous eaters, and then my mom and my niece are not. So, sometimes we diverged with our eating. So, they were then hungry, and so my niece really wanted to get Casey's, so we did a mobile order for there, picked it up at 6:35. There was nowhere to sit, which is a problem here. I mean, I was even, like, standing for a while and I was just like, I don't wanna waste a bunch of time this evening waiting to find a place to sit, and unfortunately, they already had closed off, like, the grassy areas, I guess,
Mhm.
for the fireworks, maybe for the dessert parties or something, I'm not sure, but they were closed off already, so
Yeah,
we
that's
couldn't go sit up there.
that's a little early.
It was, and it happens again later in the trip where they had that closed off, like, really early. So, we couldn't go sit up there. So, we actually ended up just, like, going and sitting sort of, like, in this little, like, the walkway, like, almost kind of to the bathrooms over by Crystal Palace because there was nowhere else to sit. So, once we were finished there, then we got a DAS while we were eating, I got a DAS for the Speedway. And we didn't have a lightning I didn't get multipass this day just because we were only gonna be there for the evening, and so I said, "I just won't ride the Speedway, that's no big deal." But we pretty much headed right there after eating, and the DAS was ready
But
at the
when you
wait.
just now said you didn't ride the Speedway, is it because you had the DAS up for up to 4 people
Yes.
and your group has 5?
Yes.
So one of you had to sit out in that case. Okay.
Yep. Yep. I didn't even ask. I know I had mentioned in the pre-tip, and we did a couple of times ask, "Can we just have an extra person go on?" But I was like, "It's no big deal." wanted to take video of them, like, coming out of the
Mhm.
speedway and stuff anyway and take pictures, so it was fine, I didn't mind at all. Yeah, so the other 4 rode that, and then at 7:15, when they were I had so this is also, I should mention for people who use DAS, this is kind of a change that they made last year, and I've noticed for me it's a real problem. You have to wait 10 minutes after you tap in to book another DAS. So it's not like a lightning lane where as soon as you tap in, you can book another one. And this is a serious issue for me because apparently I lose all focus.
Mm.
Or I'm like on a ride and then I get off and I'm moving on to the next thing. And every time I forget that it's been 10 minutes and I can book another DAS. So that was a theme for me. My sister started helping me by as soon as we tapped in, she would set a timer on her phone
Yeah. I
for
don't
10
think I
minutes.
knew about the 10-minute delay like that.
It is actually, it sounds like it's not a big deal at all. It's actually a really big pain.
Well, it's hard to remember because, I
Yes.
mean, ideally, you would be on the ride at that point, and then, when you
Yeah.
get off, you're off like, you have to remember. That's weird.
That's exactly what happens is you're like on the ride and then you
Mhm.
get off the ride and you're kind of like on to the next thing. And I forgot almost every time. So then my sister started setting a timer for 10 minutes. And so then she would tell me, okay, it's time to get to the desk. Thank you. So it was a real tag team effort. So I was able to I did remember because I wasn't on the speedway. I remembered it was 10 minutes. So I got a DAS for the people mover. And on this one, we did just go ask. The people mover is a little bit unique if you're using a DAS because there's no lightning lane for
Mm.
it, but you can get a DAS. So I went up to the cast member and just said, hey, we have a DAS for 4 of us, but we do have a 5th person. Do you need them to wait like through the line and we just wait here until they get up here? And she said, we can accommodate you. It's no problem.
That ride, especially, you're all in the same ride vehicle probably.
Yes.
It doesn't delay anyone.
It doesn't really make any difference at all. Yeah.
Mm.
They were very nice about it. And so we were able to all get on and ride that together, which was nice. We then, while we were on the people mover, our 10 minutes came up. And so I went ahead and got a DAS for the teacups. And my mom was actually having some ear trouble from the flight. So she didn't want to ride the teacups anyway. And she just headed back actually to the resort. So we only needed a DAS for 4 of us anyway. And then we rode the teacups. And at this point, my daughter and I went ahead and went back. It was about 8. It had been a long day. She had
Mhm.
done really well, but it was time for us to head back. And my sister and niece stayed and rode Space Mountain. And yeah, so that was pretty much that day. The nice thing was you could see the fireworks from Luminous because we could see Epcot. So that was cool. We were able to see that every night. And then, of course, the water parade we got to see every night as well.
Mhm. When you mentioned the parks that you could see, you didn't name Magic Kingdom, right?
No, we couldn't. It was funny. It was like right around the corner. If I had a go-go gadget, like neck, I could have just sort of seen it. But yeah, like we could see the bridge from Bay Lake Contemporary. We were only 3 rooms away from the elevator bank, which is where the bridge is. We were on the 14th floor, but so like you could see the lights from the fireworks at Magic Kingdom.
And you could hear them.
We could hear them.
You were physically so close to Space Mountain, but you couldn't see Magic Kingdom. It's just
Right.
it's very funny to me.
Yeah, it was funny. So, yeah, we could just barely not see them, just almost slightly. Yeah.
So that's a good arrival day. You got a lot done.
Yes,
And the next day was Wednesday, May 14th. You had plans for Animal Kingdom.
that's right. Let me open my notes for this day. Okay. All right. So, on this day, we tapped in. So, I had kind of hoped that we would be able to rope drop, but especially given my daughter she typically goes to bed at 7:30, 7:45. So this is a lesson like, even as she's gotten older, I was trying to see if she could hang, but, you know, for her to be her best self, she needs a whole night of sleep. So anyway, we didn't get there till about 8:05. We tapped in at 8:06, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't early entry was at 7:30, so we did not get anywhere close to that. But once we tapped in, I immediately got a DAS for the safari. I already had a lightning lane for my niece for the safari. So at that time, it was a 20-minute standby wait, which meant it was really only 10 minutes until we could get on using the
Mhm.
DAS. We did stop at the Wilderness Explorer station on the bridge and got a book. And I wasn't sure if my daughter would like this, but she did. She likes getting things, and that's exciting for her. So we actually made several more stops on our way to the safari because we wanted to see if we could see the kangaroos and stuff like that. And there was like somebody back there. So she really liked that. I did have to tell the cast members, like, kind of upfront, she can't answer you. She's nonverbal. Because they were, like, talking and asking her all these questions, and she can say yes or no, but I'm like, she loves talking to you, but she's not gonna answer you back, so don't expect that. And once I told them that, they were really great. Yeah, so we stopped at a couple of those stops. We actually then stopped at the shop in Africa. There was, like, no one really, it felt like, in Animal Kingdom, even though it had been open for a while. It was really not crowded. There was nobody else in the shop, so that was nice. We were able to look around without it being crowded. And then we did go to the safari. We tapped in for the safari at 8:35. It was I was kind of hoping it would be a really good safari because it was earlier in the morning. It was just okay.
You never know.
We can't control the animals. Our safari guide was very low energy. So she was fine, like, she wasn't doing anything wrong. She was just, like, very low energy. Like, my daughter was even, like, kind of, like, slow blinking a little bit. It was so relaxing.
It was putting her to
Um,
sleep.
it was, yeah, so but it was fine. It was a good safari ride. Once we got off there, we headed over to Everest. My sister kept saying, because we didn't have a lightning lane for this, and my sister and my niece wanted to ride it, and my sister kept saying, it's a 5-minute wait, it's a 10-minute wait," and I was like, "It's gonna change, it's gonna jump." I'm So by the time we got over there, actually, so we stopped and got a pancake sandwich, I think. It's like egg and, like, pancakes in some kind, and it has some kind of fruit jam in it. That was really good, actually. But by the time we stopped and got that and ate it, it was a 20-minute posted wait for Everest, and then while they were in the line, it changed to 35. So, they ended up waiting, I think, right at 25 minutes. So, not ideal. They could've, it would've been nice if we coulda gotten there a little bit sooner, but that's okay. We just waited for them and found a wilderness explorer spot kinda nearby there and went and did that and ate and went to the bathroom and those kinds of things. I wanted to mention that, particularly for people who have kids or adults with, like, disabilities that need assistance in the bathroom, this it's really inconsistent, like, the accommodations that you can find for restrooms. So, my daughter, as I said, she's 6. She's potty training because of her delays. It's just she's much later, but we struggle with always making it to the bathroom. And so even the companion restrooms are not, like, they don't have a great place to change a larger child or an adult who might need that as an accommodation. So that's difficult. And I've actually looked online before to see, is there any place that shows you, like, the best places or whatever? But there isn't. It's kind of inconsistent.
And it would be fair to say the baby care centers aren't an option because 'cause they're made for smaller kids?
Yeah, so actually, I think they'll let you take, like, a child or even an older person who might need something
Mhm.
like that in there, but like they still don't have a great place to change a larger child or adolescent. So it's difficult sometimes. Like I use her stroller. Like I'll go in the companion restroom and lay her stroller down. But once she gets much bigger, I mean, hopefully we won't have to continue to do that, but sometimes we just do. So I just wanted to mention that just for other parents or families who might have that to deal with. I always carry like a bath mat that folds up for situations like this too, because that way I can clean it every night and I can lay it down. And sometimes I have to just do that and change her on the floor.
Okay. That's
It's yeah,
good idea.
not ideal, but that's what we've done to make it work in times like that. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah. So once they got off Everest, we actually headed over to meet Moana. This was at about 10:10. And we should have, in retrospect, my mom and daughter and I should have just gone to Moana when they went to get on Everest. We didn't realize they weren't going to go with us to meet Moana, but they then said they wanted to go ride Dinosaur since it would probably be their last chance to ride it. So that was fine. We split off again and they went to ride Dinosaur and we went to get in line for Moana. It's a little bit annoying to me that they don't post a wait time for this meet and greet. And there was no cast member like at the front of the line to tell you. I looked for people. I was like looking around. I'm like, how long? Because you don't really know. Because I was like, if this is like a 35 or 40-minute wait, my daughter can't do that. So I was a little bit annoyed by that, honestly. We just had no idea. We were just like in the line, no idea how long it was going to be.
How long did it end up being?
It ended up being 25 minutes. So it wasn't like terrible. I don't know that I would have waited that long if I had known.
Yeah, that would be
Honestly.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's confusing to me why they wouldn't tell people how long the wait is. But anyway, we did it. We waited in the line. My daughter was struggling. It's like she threw my cell phone. She was just like not having it. This is why we use desks. So we made it through though. We met Moana. After that, we headed to Pandora. Oh, I wanted to mention while we were in line for Moana, I looked at the walk-up list for Nomad Lounge, and this was at about 10:45, and the estimated wait was 1 hour. So I went ahead and put us in the line because I thought that would work out with what we had going on next. And so then after we met Moana, we headed to Pandora. We had a lightning lane and a DAS for Navi River. The standby wait was 70 minutes, which is baffling.
I know. It's such a long time.
It was such a long line. I don't understand. It took us actually a while to even my niece went to get a pretzel. She was hungry like right then and couldn't wait for Nomad Lounge. So she went to get a pretzel and then she was eating it. And then when we went to tap in through the lightning lane, there was just like kind of sometimes this happens where there's just like a bunch of people standing there. It's like nobody knows what's going on. That was happening there. And so it actually took a few minutes to sort out. I think part of what was happening is I think people get confused about because the signage is not great back there for what ride you're getting on. And so then people are like, is this flight of passage? And the cast members are like having to re-explain it over and over again. So anyway, it finally kind of cleared out and we tapped in for that at 11:15. And yeah, so we rode that. And while we were in line, it was while we were in line for Navi River, I actually was able to get a lightning lane for Nemo because we were going to Epcot this evening. So I got a lightning lane for Nemo and Soarin'. So got those for both after 5 p.m. when we planned to be over at Epcot. We got a text at 11:30 that our table was ready. So we got over there about 11:35 and we waited for another 5 or 6 minutes like outside. but our table was great. We got one of the sort of like really comfy couches outside. So that was really nice. I actually think that it was like too relaxing for my daughter because she was started like feeling really tired and did not want to go to sleep though at the same time. You know what I mean? And so she was kind of fighting it. So we started to struggle a little bit at Nomad Lounge with some behaviors, but I did get her lunch while we were there. They let us order off the kids menu from Tiffin's, so that was nice. She got some lunch while we were there. My sister and I got cocktails, and then we got some like small plates that we shared. So that was really nice. I know it's probably just like a very laid back spot, but and that there were like, there were like a lot of people there. I think most of the tables were full, but it took a really long time for our waitress to get to us in the first place. And then when we were ready to go, I actually had to just end up taking my daughter out because she was struggling and like we were clearly done. And it was still another like 15 minutes before she brought the check back.
I am gonna assume they might be understaffed there. So many places.
Yeah, that would make sense. And it's okay. Like she was great. She was very kind. Like service was otherwise really good. It's just in those moments, especially when you're struggling with a kiddo, it's kind of like my sister tried to give her credit card. And she was like, "No, I have to bring you like the bill first."
Mm.
So we were like, "Okay." So that was fine. We had planned on doing Kali River Rapids. I had a lightning lane for my niece, and then I had also gotten a DAS for it, but there was just no way. My daughter she was too tired. She was really struggling. So nobody else wanted to ride it. I just thought that she would really like it. So we just skipped it and bypassed it. So then we drove back to the resort at this point, and of course, once we got back to Bay Lake Tower, my daughter it was totally fine. She had a second wind,
She needed an out of park break.
I guess. I don't know, because I was like, "She seems like she could definitely take a nap," and we got back and nope, that was not happening. She did not wanna lay down or rest. So, we took her swimming, and that was actually really nice. She really I mean, I think this is true of a lot of kids, but particularly for her, she has a lot of, like, gross motor stimulation needs, and so she needs to use her body in big ways, and so swimming was really good for her. It helps to regulate her and be her best self when she can engage in things like that. So
Does
that
being
was
in the stroller all day make that harder?
yes.
Because she's kind of confined for a long time.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I did let her, like, walk or jump around or whatever as much as we could. So, it just kind of depended on the situation. Like, when we're, like, in a line, especially if there's, like, a crowd of people, she struggles with making good choices in situations like that, so it's better for her to be in a stroller where she's a little bit more self-contained. So, I did let her get out, and she likes to push the stroller, and so we did a lot of that as well in times when it was, like, a good time for her to do that. So, she actually made a little friend at the pool, and it was, like, very sweet. It was very sweet because we took pool toys for my daughter. She likes to throw, like, little diving things in and go and get them, especially in the 0 entry, that's really good for her, and so she made a little friend. I actually went and I asked, like, who her grown-up was so that I could go thank them because I think this girl was probably 7 or 8, and a lot of kids, they don't I mean, Claire is different, she's diagnosed with autism and she doesn't talk, and so she communicates very differently, and so a lot of kids, that kind of makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable, but this little girl was so sweet, and I explained it to her, because I
Mhm.
didn't want her to expect something different, and she was like, "Oh, okay." She was great with her, and so I went and thanked her family and said what a sweet, kind friend she was being, so that was really nice.
I love that.
After the pool, we got ready, dressed and everything, and we actually headed over to the monorail at about 4:30. there was a little bit of a delay. This happened several times with the monorail, actually. There was some sort of like strange delay or whatever, but we ended up taking off about 4:35. And then we switched at the Ticket and Transportation Center and left there on the Epcot monorail about 4:50. And then tapped into Epcot. We went through Journey of Water first. That was the first thing we did. That was at about 5:10. And then I had forgotten to get a DAS after we tapped in. So I had gotten, as I mentioned, we had a lightning lane for Nemo for my niece. And so that was our plan, but I forgot to get the DAS. Luckily, the line wasn't really long. I think it was like maybe 15 minutes. So I just went ahead and got a DAS right there in Journey of Water. And when we were finished with that, we were able to tap in. We did that at 5:25. Yeah. After Nemo, we split off because my sister and I wanted to get some food from the food booths. And as I mentioned, my mom and niece are not adventurous eaters. They didn't want any of that. So
What did they want?
they went over to Connections.
Okay.
I don't actually remember what they got there, but that's where they went to get food. My sister and I wanted the Provence poutine from the refreshment port, and then we also wanted to try the chips and dips trio, which was right there, I think, at the beach grub, maybe. So we did that. My daughter stayed with us. She ate both of those things. We both liked the Provence poutine. I will say I think it might have been a little overhyped from our other sister had gone last month, and they said it was like the best thing they've ever eaten. And so we were like, maybe our expectations were a little bit too high. It was very good.
I think there's some inconsistencies too, which is part of the trouble because you don't know. Is it fresh? Is it not fresh?
Yeah.
What kind of kitchen is preparing it? Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been too. I mean, it was very good. And then the chips and dips trio, it was funny because I really liked one of the dips. My sister hated it. I hated the other two, and she really liked them. So it just
That works out, didn't it?
it worked out fine. It worked out fine for us. So after we were done eating, we met back up with them at the land because we had a lightning lane and DAS for Soarin'. So we got in line for that. I made a note that the people in line behind us were from Ireland, I think, and they had two kiddos who were also nonverbal with them. And so, even in the lightning lane, you end up waiting for a while for Soarin'. And so we ended up having really nice conversations with them. And their son was like very interested in interacting with my sister and my niece. And so that's how it all started because they were kind of apologizing because he was like really interested in them. And we were like, no, it's totally okay. And then we were like, this is Claire. She's also nonverbal. And then we ended up kind of really chatting it up with them. So that was really nice.
It always occurs to me, though, during these kind of trip reports that you have to advocate so much.
Yeah.
All the time. And I know it's not just during Disney World trips.
Yes.
So you're like there, like they told you, hey, FYI, our kids, and you do the same thing. And it's a lot all the time.
Yeah, you always have to be thinking about it because I think in general people react really once they know. People tend to, adjust what their expectations are or how they're interacting. But yeah, they were like apologizing because he really their son, he really wanted my sister to clap her hands with him. And we were like, no, don't apologize. This is wonderful, right? He's wanting to connect and interact with other people. And so it was really sweet. It was like one of those, like you're saying though, where I was glad that we were next to them and that they didn't have to feel like their child was intruding on somebody or something like that. Cause that's what happens that's how you kind of sometimes feel. And some people do react like that, unfortunately. So
yeah.
Yeah. So we did Soarin'. My daughter loved Soarin'. I mean, she just loved it. She was like, hey, she was lifting her legs up and just, every part of it. I was videoing her actually.
Has she been on it before?
She has. Yeah, she has been on it. I'm trying to think of when she was tall enough to start riding it. She's probably been on it at least twice before. Yeah.
But has she always liked it as much as she did this year?
No, she liked it a lot this evening.
Mhm.
Spoiler, we rode it again and she acted like she was bored. So I don't I don't know.
Unpredictable.
Yes. Who knows? But this was like she was really feeling it this evening. So that was fun. And then we went to do Living with the Land. My niece who's 19 and then Claire, my daughter, were like they've both ridden this ride lots of times, that they were both like, "This is so boring. Why are we doing this?" And I was like, "No, we're doing this. We all want to, the rest of us want to ride this." So after Living with the Land, we went and rode Figment. And Claire also absolutely loved this ride. She has like a Figment book, and we sang like the song and stuff like that. And so she liked that ride. Once we got off of Imagination, so my mom, I think I had mentioned, is a DVC member. And then she also, there's this new additional thing like membership magic or something. It's
Mhm.
$99. And so my sister had said the DVC lounge in the Imagination Pavilion is now open from 6 to 9 with special character greetings or meet and greets. And so we were like, "Oh, well, let's just go up there," because it was evening. I can't remember exactly what time it was, like maybe 7 or 7:30. And so we went up there. There was like maybe 5 other people in the whole lounge. It was like empty. And Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde from Zootopia were up there. And so that was really fun because these kinds of character interactions are really good. I mean, I don't want to just say for someone like my daughter, because I'm sure for other kids too who might be shy or whatever, it's really nice. But especially like with her, she needs to know that people are like interested in her or whatever, and then she'll warm up. So when it's like a really quick meet and greet, like she never really like settles into it. But with an opportunity like this, it was really fun.
'Cause it
So
was private.
yeah, and I mean, it was like you could take all the time you wanted. They would come to so they gave you like a little card when you came in, and then like a cast member would come to your table when it was time for your group to go up, and there was nobody there, so you could be up there with the characters for as long as you wanted. And they were just like so fun, the characters. And like part of the genetic disorder that my daughter has is called Phelan-McDermid syndrome, and this is just a lot of parents will say this about people and kids with PMS, is that they are sort of like very precocious, and they just kinda like shenanigans and chaos. And so my daughter was like enamored by Nick Wilde because that's him, right? Like he's just up to something all the time, and she thought it was hilarious.
She likes
He
the ornery characters.
Yes, because that's her. She wants to play jokes on people, or she thinks if, like that's really funny to her. And so she loved it. He tried to steal her pen. And I was like, "Nick, are you taking her pen?" And she was like just dying, like laughing. It was so cute.
I
She thought
love
it was,
that.
yeah, she just thought it was like so silly. So we stayed up there for a little while. After we were done up there, like Claire again, I mean, it was about 8:30 at this point, and so she was also like getting just kind of done with the day. So we stopped at the bathroom, and then I headed back with her on the monorail, and the rest wanted to do some shopping. So they went and did that. I actually made a mistake at the TTC, and when I got off, I got on the Magic Kingdom monorail instead of the resort monorail. I don't know why. I guess, like, the signage is not super big for the resort monorail, and I was just, like, not really paying attention. I just kinda got off and got right back on. And so I was like, as soon as I got on, I was like, "Oh, shoot. This is the Magic Kingdom monorail." But it was really not a big deal. I mean, we were at the Contemporary, so I was able to just walk.
So you walk from Magic Kingdom to Bay Tower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to my sister when they got back. I said, I goofed, and I got on the Magic Kingdom monorail, and she was like, actually, I think it's faster.
Because the resort monorail stops so many
Yes.
times. Mm.
So we tested this theory later on in the trip, and she is right. If you don't mind walking, it is faster if you're at the Contemporary to just
Mhm.
take the monorail to the Magic Kingdom and walk. So I was like, okay, I feel better then. It was a happy accident, I guess.
Yeah, as long as if it was raining or something like that would have been harder, but
Very true. Yes, very true. I would have really been mad at myself if that had been the case. But we were back in the room. Claire was asleep in bed by 9:15. So that was pretty good.
that was the end of her day and your day, sounds like.
Are dry eye symptoms frequently interrupting your day? Keep dry eyes off your schedule with Refresh Reliever PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your eyes. With innovative hydrocell technology to lock in moisture and prevent further irritation, Refresh Reliever PF Extra gives you lasting relief. Equipped with a soft squeeze multi-dose bottle featuring a double lockout system that keeps drops sterile, so you can feel confident using it. Refresh has been delivering relief from dry eye symptoms for 35 years. It's a track record of success that has earned the trust of physicians and patients alike. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
Yes.
Okay, the next day was Thursday, May 15th, and you were headed back to Epcot in the morning.
Yes, we were headed back to Epcot on this morning. We left the room about 7:55. Unfortunately, we had a series of sort of just like accidents just on this morning. My mom had gotten a really nice new cup that like she could carry, and she didn't have the lid screwed on all the way. So we were just like walking to the elevator, and it just totally fell off and made a huge mess everywhere. So we had a little bit of a delay just kind of getting over to the monorail. So we got there about 8:10, got to the TTC. And again, as I mentioned, like this was also a little bit of a theme with the monorails. Once we were at TTC, the monorails were like stopped. So one of them was like not going at all. And the monorail for us was taking a really long time to get there. And then when it came in, there was just a lot of things happening. The monorail going over to Magic Kingdom, they actually made everyone get off. And I was like, "Oh no, I wonder what's going on." And then our monorail came, and it was like crawling into the station, and I was like, "Oh no, this is bad news." So I said something to the cast member that was like right by us. I said, "Are we like, is this not happening?" "Oh no, it's fine. They're just doing a training exercise." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, I was worried because the monorail over there, they made everyone get off, and she's, "Oh, no, that's a different issue. That monorail is having problems." So,
It'd be nice if they communicated that.
yes, yeah, they didn't tell us what was going on at all. So it did take us a little bit longer though to get over to Epcot. We ended up getting there at 8:40 and tapped in, and we rode Spaceship Earth right away. There was no wait, so we just went ahead and got on there. And I had, let's see, yeah, we got in at 8:50, and then yeah, went ahead and got a Lightning Lane and a DAS for Soarin' after my niece tapped into the Pixar. I had gotten her a Pixar Lightning Lane right first thing so that we could then book Soarin' right away, which worked out fine. We got a Soarin' for $9.25.
And you're using DAS and lighting lanes. So do you have, I'm trying to figure out how this worked logistically, because you have your niece's lightning lanes booked. So
Yep.
some of those you were going to book your own DAS and your own lighting lanes, right?
Yeah, so the Lightning Lanes were mostly pre-booked, at least the first 3. And then
Including yours.
no, we didn't have Lightning Lanes. The DAS
Oh,
we had to book once we tap in.
Okay, so you weren't personally using a combination of lightning lane and DAS. It's just your
Nope.
niece had lightning lanes. So you had her pre-booked ones, and then were you then sort of reverse engineering? Okay, I need to do this in order to get the DAS to match it.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And because she had such a long window for lightning lanes, it did work fine.
And let's just reiterate this to people because I feel like no matter how much we say it on here, people are still not knowing this information. It's a 3-hour window now.
Yeah.
So it'll say 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., but the actual truth is you can tap until 4 p.m. So it's really 1 to 4. And that gives you more flexibility to try to match your DAS with her.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, I know it's confusing. It was confusing in practice also, to be honest with you. It's doable, but without my sister helping me, like we did a lot of like sort of, hey, okay, like my sister's name is Hannah. I'm like, okay, Hannah, I got a DAS for this and we got a lightning lane for this at the same time. Okay, check. And then she would like double check that we had both of those like in my Disney experience. So it it's not ideal. It's a lot of logistics, to be honest.
It is. That's why I wanted to stop and mention it because I know that was a part of your trip.
Yes. It's a lot logistically. It did work okay. And I wanted to say that you had suggested to me that maybe we try to use Standby Skipper, given especially our situation. And I did purchase Standby Skipper the day I just talked about on the 14th. I didn't use it. I don't really know if I just wasn't like, I didn't know what to, I don't really know. I didn't use it. But on this day, I did. So once my niece tapped into Pixar, we just went ahead and booked Soarin' ourselves because there was a really quick return time. And then I set the skipper to get Remy's. It took 5 minutes and it got a 10:15 return time.
Okay. And that was for your niece.
Yes.
And then you got a DAS to match.
Once we finished Soarin'.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Got it.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. But I mean, there's going to be people that run into this sort of thing. So I just wanted to talk through how it actually works in practice.
Yeah. The lesson is you can do it. Like we did it. We did do it. And having the skipper helped a lot. Having Standby Skipper helped a great deal. But it is a lot logistically. Like it's helpful to have two people who both know what's going on and understand how both systems work.
And I think this would be like, I know in your case, it was your niece joined on at the end and you had to figure out how to accommodate her. But this would be true for any group of more than 4.
Yes.
Right. So I think it's good.
Yep. Anytime you have more than 4, I mean, you either are going to be buying a multi-pass for the person who already, it qualifies for DAS and just not worrying about using it, I guess, or doing something like this. Yep. So we rode Soarin' at 9:25. Like I mentioned, I set for the Standby Skipper to get Remy's, got it right away for a 10:15 return time. After Soarin', this was where I could tell like my daughter did not have a full night of sleep. She was really tired. And so I said, how about I just take her on a little bit of a walk? Let me see if I can get her to fall asleep or just have some quiet time. And I had gotten individual lightning lanes for this, I think it was for 10:30 or so for my mom, my sister, and my niece to ride Guardians. I'm glad that I did that because my daughter was so tired. I don't know that she would have really enjoyed Guardians. So I'm glad I didn't do a DAS or get a lightning lane for her on this day for that ride. So we just split up at this point. They went and got Joffrey's and then went to get in line for Guardians they had a lightning lane at 10:35. I really just walked around from about 9:50 till 10:20. She wasn't sleeping. She was like quiet, just sort of like quietly in her stroller. We stopped in at Creations and I let her get a stuffy because I thought maybe that would kind of help if she could put her head on it like a pillow. So she got a Bigfoot Pooh. This is like Winnie the Pooh number 4. We have so many Winnie the Pooh. What she picked. So she was happy with it. I also, this is kind of an aside, but I wanted to mention that my daughter has an annual pass because she may end up going again, like with my mom or sister. or some other combination of my family members. And it was really interesting because some cast members, I would just show like, yep, we have an AP discount. Like it says right on her pass, it's for ages 3 to 9. And they didn't ask any questions. And then some cast members were really weird about it because they want to see an ID.
Yeah, they want you to prove that the person buying it is the one with the annual pass.
Yeah, I'm like, well, she's 6. So I actually said, I need to read the fine print of her annual pass because I think even for ages 3 to 9, they still qualify for the discounts, right? I mean,
Um,
I would
yeah.
think they gave them to us, but but I'm like, well, she's 6. She doesn't have an ID. And she also doesn't have like credit card or money. So I don't know what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they're only gonna let adults use AP discounts, like, they should be clear about that.
Well, I think what kind of caught some of them up was that I'm her mom and they didn't understand why would your daughter have an AP and you don't? I think
Mhm.
that's what was confusing to some of them. I'm like, "Well, I don't need to explain this to you. It's fine. She has one. She's right here."
One of the things I like about mobile checkout for the stores that offer it is that it automatically applies your AP discount, so it's you don't have to ask, you don't have to share ID, but I'm wondering if it would allow your daughters to be applied.
I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I should say I didn't try really hard either, but I didn't know how to make it apply hers instead of mine since I'm the account holder.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. But no one denied her using or giving the discount. We just had some people who were like, definitely, I don't know about this. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what you want me to do. She's 6. She doesn't have an ID.
Yeah, it's her annual pass, my credit card.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't have money. But even this, I was like, clearly this is for her. Like she's, you know,
Yeah, would it have worked if you had handed her cash?
I don't know. I mean, this particular time, the person had most of the time, people didn't even ask. They were just like, okay, you have an AP discount. And they gave it to us. But anyway, we got her Bigfoot poo. I was really hungry at this point, and for some reason, I I thought that the brunch cot would open because it's called brunch cot. I thought it would open at 10, and it does not. So I went over there at 10:20, and it was not open, and so I was like, there was a cast member. I was like, "When do you guys open?" And she was like, 11, and I was like, "Well, that's kinda silly." I definitely would like to eat here because I'm really hungry. So, I was so hungry, I couldn't wait for them to open, so I went and got a breakfast sandwich, and Claire and I shared that while they were on Guardians. We kept walking around. We walked back to Norway and China and then came back, so I got a lot of steps in, just trying to get her to relax. But they then got off Guardians and we headed back to Norway. We tapped into Frozen at 11:15. We had the Lightning Lane DAS combo for Frozen at 11:15. And then we stopped in Germany, got a couple of things from that food booth. My niece really liked the cheesy pretzel bread a lot. She really liked that. She wanted it again later, actually. And then in the pre-trip, I had said we had a dining reservation for Via Napolis at noon. So on this morning, we had actually decided to cancel it, or it was maybe the night before, but we decided to cancel it because after our Nomad Lounge lunch meltdown from my daughter, we were like, noon is like kind of her, she can't go anymore. So sit down dining at noon is not happening.
Yeah, especially because you had said, like, on this day she was tired.
She was already tired. It was a
Mhm.
good decision. So we had canceled the Via Napoli, but we did stop and get pizza at the pizza window, which I'd never gotten the pizza from this pizza window. I mean, it's not like anything. It was good. It wasn't like the most amazing thing in the world, but it's a really good deal. And I would say, especially for people who have picky eaters, right? It's either basically cheese or pepperoni. They're huge pieces of pizza,
Mhm.
huge. I think they were like $8 or $9 for a slice that could, I think, feed 2 people.
Yeah, seems like a good one for your group that didn't wanna sit down and also had a couple picky eaters.
Yes, yes, so it was perfect. And I actually also got a frozen prosecco drink that they had at that pizza window. It was also really good, and I would say for a Disney adult drink was actually a really good deal also. I wanna say it was like 10 it was 10 or $12. It was like a decent size. It was really good. So, I'd recommend that. And it was frozen, so it was good for hot day.
So, it sounds like the pizza window was a good decision since you
Yes.
canceled your Via Napoli.
Yeah, pizza window was a hit. So then we headed over to Remy's at about 12:20 and tapped in there, rode Remy's. So then we were planning to leave the park. As we were walking out of France, I kind of looked back and I noticed there was no line for the food booth in France, which never happened.
Mhm.
Again, it was like the spring rolls. I was like, "Well, we have to get something." Bec
We usually rope drop that one.
Yeah,
Like, we'll
it's
get in line for it at 10:30 so that we're there when it opens at 11.
yeah, it's so bad. We never hardly ever get anything there because it's like, it's not worth you can tell it's gonna be a really long line. So I think there was literally one person in the line, and I was like, "You guys, we have to get some things here." So we did. My mom actually got 2 desserts, and I got a little what I call a shot of wine because that's what they give you at Disney.
They are so small.
They're so small, which is fine. I just wanted to taste it. But I it was funny as we were walking away, I said, "I think I may have figured out why the line is always so long because they just really were taking their time." They didn't have a care in the world. They were not the quickest. They were super nice and everything, but just, like, really slow, and I'm like, "Maybe this is why the line is always so long."
Maybe I'm sure it doesn't help.
Doesn't help, but my mom and sister ate the desserts, said they were very good, so yeah, so at this point, we did head back. My daughter was really tired, so we took the monorail back. Again at TTC, we had to wait a little bit because of a maintenance issue. So the monorail was pulling back in, and they were like, "You like, this is what's gonna happen. There's a maintenance issue. It's gonna pull in," and, like, they work on it under I don't know, like, underneath or whatever. They're working on it, but you can't get on it for a little while. So the monorails needs some love. Yeah.
Yeah, and it stresses me out a little bit because those deluxe resorts that are on the monorail, that should be a reason that you pay to stay there. But if they're down, it's wildly inconvenient.
Yes. Yes. And I'll say this later on in the trip, the next time we decided to go to Epcot, we just drove because we were like, "We can't this is crazy." I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah, so we got on a monorail at 1:23 to head back to the resort, and we arrived at the Contemporary at 1:45. So it was like 22 minutes, which that was just because we were on the resort loop, which is why we decided it is actually faster to just go to Magic Kingdom, the
Mhm.
express monorail. So we got back to the room, everybody laid down for a rest. Daughter was really tired, again, struggled to fall asleep. She has FOMO. She really, like, especially when there's so much going on, she really doesn't wanna miss anything. She did at least lay down and relax for a little while. And I had forgotten to mention on the pre-trip that on this day in the evening, we are meeting friends. We met friends that live in Orlando. They used to live in the Indianapolis area, and my mom nannied for them, and so she still is really close with the parents and the kids, and so we were meeting them at Magic Kingdom at 4:30. And so they parked at the Contemporary, and we met them, like, on the walking pathway at about 4:30. We did not I just wanna mention this because I thought you might ask. We didn't have to coordinate, like, lightning lanes or anything with them. they're Club 33 members, so they can just get on whenever they want on
They
anything.
they have it pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah. So it works out nicely though, because then we don't have to worry about coordinating anything. And while we were resting in the room, I did put in for Standby Skipper to get a Tiana's Lightning Lane. We already had Pooh and Haunted Mansion booked, and it did. It got me a Tiana's. I can't remember exactly how long it took, but it wasn't very long that it picked up a Tiana's for my niece. So again, this was the theme of the day. My daughter was tired. She didn't sleep really during her nap time, but we were just like trying to power through, especially because we were meeting our friends over there. And once we tapped in, I got the DAS for Tiana's immediately and got a return time at 5:25. When we walked in, we noticed that the time to meet Mickey at Town Square was only a 10-minute wait, which is really short. It's about as short as I think you see it. Oh, no, sorry. It was posted 5-minute wait. It ended up being 10 minutes. But we were like, let's just go in here. It's only posted 5-minute wait. So we did that. That was fun. My daughter was very like starstruck, like she saw
Oh.
him once you get into the room and she was like, whoa. It was really cute. She kind of got a little bit shy actually. It was very cute. So once we finished there, we head over to Tiana's, tapped in, and pretty much got right on. This is one where I definitely leave my daughter in the stroller because otherwise there's a lot of like steps to go up and down, and it's still quite a bit of walking,
Huge queue.
even in the lightning lane. And so this is one that's slightly different than what I described earlier because you still tap into the lightning lane and kind of go up and sort of like around a bend. But right when you get to the stairs, you stop and a cast member sees that you have a stroller or a wheelchair and they take you to the exit of the ride. So that's how you go in if you have a stroller or wheelchair for this ride is you go back into the exit and then they just walk you and you enter from the opposite side of the boat.
Good to know.
Yes. It was funny. One of the little girls they have 4 girls, and she was like excited because this was like a different thing. She's, oh, we're going in from the exit.
Yeah. I love
Like,
that those of us who go all the time appreciate the fun little twists on things.
yeah, it's a different way to get in. Yeah. So after Tiana's, we did a mobile order for Pecos Bills. This was at about 6:00. My daughter and I's order was ready really fast. And so we were done eating by 6:20, 6:30. And unfortunately, like it took a lot longer for everyone else's orders. Like, of course, their orders were larger and whatever. So, like, we were done eating before they even got their order. So I just took her and we went and rode Pirates. It was a posted 5-minute wait. I asked the cast member before I went in because I didn't have a DAS for it. I was like, is this really 5 minutes or is it not 5 minutes? And she was like, no, I think it is actually close to 5 minutes. It was about 11 or 12 minutes in reality, but it was fine. I wanted to say that this was the first time we had eaten at Pecos Bills since they have kind of a different menu, a new menu. We were not fans. I don't know if it was just a bad night. I don't know. But we all got different things and we were all like, this was not good, which was really unfortunate because I used to love their like nachos and the tacos that they had. They're really good. But I got nachos and it's supposed to have pico de gallo on it. It had 3 little slices of tomato. And I was like, okay. So anyway, that was kind of disappointing, but that's okay. After I did Pirates, they had finished and started walking over to the Little Mermaid because we did have a DAS and Lightning Lane for this ride. And I met them over there. We finished that ride about 7:30. And unfortunately, my daughter she was like really done. She just couldn't, it was just asking too much of her to keep trying to go. And I felt really bad because this meant that, like, my mom and sister, we couldn't do DAS. They couldn't use the DAS once
Mhm.
I left with my daughter. So I did feel really bad about that. There were several things that had really short wait times. So they said, "It's not a big deal. Like, we'll find a few things to go on." One of the kids of our friends is a baby. So, and then one is like a small toddler. So they were like looking for things that they could ride with everyone anyway, like Dumbo and stuff. So they were like, it's not a big deal. But I did feel bad about that. So anyway, we took some pictures and then I headed back to the room with her. We got back about 7:50. When we got back, so earlier in the day, we had noticed that our washer dryer unit wasn't working right. And so my mom had called maintenance, and this was the time that they were replacing our whole washer dryer
At 8 PM.
at 8 o'clock. So I turned the corner and I saw a washer dryer sitting in the hallway, and I said, "This isn't a good sign." I go and our door was open, and yeah, there was a maintenance guy in there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh, it's not a big deal." It's not, it doesn't work. Like, you have to just have a whole new unit. So he was replacing that. It wasn't a huge deal. Like, my daughter was so tired. She barely even noticed that there was like all this kerfuffle in the room. So I went ahead and just got her pajamas on and put her to bed, and it was fine. He finished about probably 20 or 25 minutes later or something like that, but it was just funny. Let's see, what else did we have for this day? Yeah, they stayed at Magic Kingdom. A couple of them rode Tron, and then they rode Dumbo, and they actually they came back about 8:50 or 9 o'clock. So we had lightning lanes for Haunted Mansion, Small World, and Winnie the Pooh, and we didn't use any of them, unfortunately. But
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, this is good information though for people because a lot of people that have DAS wonder if they should buy lighting lanes. And this would be an advantage if you did buy it was you don't need the DAS qualifying person to be there.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
pros and cons.
It's a really good point. I mean, not everyone can ride everything or wants to ride everything. And yeah, if something happens where that person doesn't feel good or whatever, you're really dependent on them.
And like
to-
your daughter is not going to ride Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah,
So
she
if
can't.
right, she just can't. And
Mhm.
so if your DAS qualifying person isn't interested or isn't eligible to ride something, then you can't go on that using DAS either.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
if people are evaluating it, that's something to consider.
it absolutely is. And we had talked about it before. So, like, everyone, like my mom and sister and I are all comfortable with, we're just not going to ride stuff that she doesn't ride. Like, it's not a huge deal to
Mhm.
us, or we can plan around it. Like, we can rope drop something and ride or switch. So, yeah, but you're right. If the circumstance was different, where we had maybe a different party makeup where people really did want to ride some of that stuff, yeah, you'd have to basically get lighting lanes.
Which would obviously increase your budget by
Yeah.
over $100 a day.
Yes.
So yeah, got to weigh it out.
Yep, exactly.
So was that the end of your Thursday then?
That was the end of Thursday.
Are dry eye symptoms frequently interrupting your day? Keep dry eyes off your schedule with Refresh Reliever PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your eyes. With innovative hydrocell technology to lock in moisture and prevent further irritation, Refresh Reliever PF Extra gives you lasting relief. Equipped with a soft squeeze multi-dose bottle featuring a double lockout system that keeps drops sterile, so you can feel confident using it. Refresh has been delivering relief from dry eye symptoms for 35 years. It's a track record of success that has earned the trust of physicians and patients alike. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
Okay. The next day was Friday, May 16th, and you had plans at Hollywood Studios.
Yes, and that is what we did. So we arrived at Hollywood Studios at 8. We had planned to really get there as early as possible so that we could do what we were just talking about, rope drop, rock and roller coaster, and then rider switch so that my niece could ride it twice. And so that was our plan. We wanted to get there early and do that. So we got in, tapped in at 8, headed right to Rockin'. The line was back to about like the Carthay Circle shop. So kind of like across from the Beauty and the Beast amphitheater entrance. It was right around there. And we were just kind of like waiting in that line. And we waited there for probably, I don't know, I want to say maybe 10 minutes or so. And then no, it was actually probably about 8:20 that they came back and they were like, sorry, Rockin's down. Nobody's going to be getting on it. So that kind of stunk because that was like our whole plan. So we just adjusted and my sister and niece went over and got in line for Tower of Terror instead. We didn't do rider swap for that. I don't really care about riding Tower that much, and I don't think my niece cared about riding it twice. So that was the way that we had to adjust. So that was kind of a bummer. Yeah, I had a note that earlier on this morning, I had a Slinky Dog lightning lane for my niece booked at 12:25. And I was worried, given the past several days, that 12:25 was just going to be not good timing for my daughter. So I was like, I felt really weird about doing this, but I canceled it and asked Skipper to find the earliest available. So at about 8:05, it got us a 9:55 Slinky Dog return time.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm sold. If we have lightning lanes, I'll always do this because I was like having such a hard time hitting cancel. I was like, oh, I feel so weird about doing this, but it worked out. So I was happy with that. Yeah. So they went to Tower and then my mom, daughter, and I headed back to Toy Story Land. We kind of adjusted our plans based on what happened with Rock and Roller Coaster. And I looked to see what time Woody and Jessie come out, which was 9. They don't come out for early entry, but they do come out at 9. So we headed back there and I kind of said to my mom, like, what if we just kind of rope drop that? Because that line is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we agreed.
We have a rope drop article and we call it first rope drop during early entry and second rope drop during regular. And at Hollywood Studios, we recommend characters for the second rope drop.
Yeah.
Because they do, as you say, the line builds so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just not a good waiting situation, really. I mean, I know you can come in and out of the line, which is kind of nice, I guess. But so we agreed to do that because we still had some time and there was like no line formed at all for Woody and Jessie at that point. We went ahead and rode Alien Swirling Saucers. So we basically kind of rope dropped that, which feels silly, but my daughter liked it. We walked on. This was at 8:25. And then I booked a DAS for Slinky Dog at this time. The wait time when I booked it was 45 minutes. So I thought that'll work out because we had the lightning lane at 9:25. So yes. And then my mom went and waited in line for Jessie and Woody, and my daughter wanted to ride Alien Swirling Saucers again. So we did that at 8:42. She and I rode it again together. And then my sister and niece headed to meet us at this time. And we all were in line for Woody and Jessie at about 8:55. So it was like really good timing. And we were the second people. There was one family in front of us.
That is really good timing.
Yeah. But it was a good thing my mom had waited before we got over there because there were quite a few people behind her. Yeah. So at this time, I also canceled. My niece had a lightning lane for Toy Story Mania at 9:55, and I asked Standby Skipper to find another lightning lane as soon as possible for that, hoping that we could meet Woody and Jessie, then do Toy Story Mania right away. It wasn't able to find it. I mean, it was a really short time period, so it wasn't able to find it. But the line for Toy Story Mania said It was 10 minutes, and my daughter was eating a sandwich. And so my sister said, 10 minutes is fine. We can wait for 10 minutes. She's eating. Let's just get in line. And it turned into a whole thing because we got stuck. We ended up waiting over 30 minutes because the ride shut down.
That's not good.
It was not good. And if you know how that line like is, you cannot, especially we had a stroller, we could not have gotten back out. Like we were stuck. So that was a little frustrating. And this is a good lesson because if you have someone in your party who it might be bad if you get stuck in line, even if it says it's a short wait time, just be mindful of that. So we got off of Toy Story Mania at 9:45. We stopped in the bathroom and then tapped into Slinky Dog at about 10. Once we got off this, we got a dash for Star Tours, and I had already had a lightning lane for my niece for that. So then we headed over there, tapped into Star Tours at 10:22. This was weird. I did make a note that it took us 20 minutes.
With the lightning lane at Star Tours?
Yes.
I was going to be surprised if the regular line was even that long.
It probably wouldn't have been. I have no idea what was going on. I just put in my notes, it was a kerfuffle. I have no idea what was going on, but they were like loading people the whole time. And like this is also one where you go into a separate entrance if you have a wheelchair. And I don't know if that was it. There was no reason that we should have had to wait this long. It was bizarre. And even then, once they put us like in the little area, like right before you get on, there was a girl in a wheelchair behind us and she was able to transfer and stand for a few minutes. And we were in front of her and they it was so weird. The cast member put her wheelchair like right in front of us. And it was just very weird. There was no reason for it. He made us move back and then shoved it right in front of us. And her family looked at us and they were like, why is he doing that? And we were like, I don't know what's happening. It was so odd. So I have a feeling that was part of the delay, is that this cast member was maybe new or something. Weird things were going on. Anyway, It was a 20-minute ordeal. Not worth it. But we didn't know ahead of time. So at this point, oh, yes. So in the pre-trip, I had said that we had a dining reservation for prime time at 4 or 3:50. I had changed it because I was worried that it was going to be too early for us to come back after our afternoon break based on how things had been going. So I was able to change it to 11. And so as soon as we got off Star Tours, we went over and checked in for prime time.
And that was a Fantasmic dining package as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think I had done it, I don't know if it was the day before or 2 days before. I'm not sure, but there were tons of seating still available when I did it.
Good to know that. I didn't know how easy that would be.
Yeah, it was completely fine. Our waiter's name was Oz. He was wonderful. I was a little bit unsure because at primetime they give you a hard time or can kind of be a little bit on purpose, harsh with you or whatever. And I didn't know how they would be with Claire because she doesn't really understand or whatever. So, but he clocked the situation immediately and was super sweet with her. So that was really nice. And he was also still very funny. My sister cussed and she got a potty mouth hat and it was funny. He was really funny with the table next to us as well. And we were kind of sharing a laugh with how he was being with them. I mean, he was really getting into it. One of the people in their party was late and he was going out looking for her and he came around the window in the bushes and he was I don't know, where is she? It's funny. So he did a good job. I left a cast compliment for him. He was really nice.
Did your daughter appreciate the honoriness of the staff there?
You know what? She was again, sit down dining is just not something I'll probably do with her a lot again because she was just not into it. She was hungry, so she just wasn't really paying attention to that because she was just like kind of tired and whiny, honestly. So he was really nice though. He brought her food out earlier than the rest of ours because she was really hungry. So that was nice. Once she ate, then, like, I had taken her to the bathroom, and she was just, like, not gonna go back and sit down again, and I was done with my meal. So she and I went and looked at the stores while the rest finished up over there, and, yeah, we ended up buying a really cute lunchbox, which my daughter was then obsessed with, like, sort of a soft-sided lunchbox, and she wanted to take it everywhere and put everything in it. So she really liked that. And they packed up our desserts to go because that's part of the Fantasmic dining package is you get desserts, and we had already left, and so I said, "Can you just ask them if they can just put it in to go?" And they did, so that was really nice. And so then we headed to the car, and then the rest of our party met us at our car. And we got back to Bay Lake Tower at 12:30. I dropped off the rest, and my daughter usually falls asleep in the car if she's tired, so I dropped them off at Bay Lake Tower, and I said, "I'm gonna drive her around for a little while because I think maybe she'll sleep, and she really needs to." She did not. Spoiler alert. I drove around for 30 minutes. She did not fall asleep, and actually, she figured out how to open the door while I was driving. So I sometimes tell people, I'm like, "If you ever wonder why they make some of the safety features they make,
The
she's
child
why."
one. Mhm.
Yeah, she's the reason because she does things like this. So, we have 'em on all of our vehicles, but when you get a rental car, it just wasn't, like, my first thought. So, I had to close the door several times, like, at stoplights or whatever, and I was like, "Okay, I'm taking you back." I then turned the child light on as soon as we parked. So, at this point, my mom, her grandma was called in for reinforcements to get her to nap. It was like, okay, who can be more stubborn, grandma or my daughter? So she did get my daughter to sleep. I don't know how, or I think it was sort of like a little, straitjacket situation, but she did get her to go to sleep. So my sister and I kind of sat on the balcony and it's this the whole time I had still been looking for Topolino's reservation to add my niece to, because that
Mhm.
had trouble finding one to
For
add her to
the following day.
for the next day, for Saturday. And I still couldn't find anything. There was a reservation that came up, but it was, like, not anywhere close to the time. It was, like, at 7:30 or something really early in the morning. And oh, yeah, I forgot to say that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, we had a lightning lane for that also, and it had gone down. So we weren't able to ride it earlier. And so we at this point, I noticed that my niece's lightning lane had turned into a multi-experience pass, and I can't I'm sorry, because I'm losing track of when this happened in the timeline, but at one point when I think we had a DAS for Mickey and Minnie's and the lightning lane. I think this might have happened in the morning, and we went back to get on it, but because it had been down so much of the morning already, the lightning lane line was, like, 30 minutes.
Gotta play catch up.
It was bad, and I was like, "I am not waiting in this line," because that doesn't even count the line that you get in after the pre-show, so I was like, "I'm not doing that," and so we just thought, "We'll try to come back and do it again later." Unfortunately, we never got to ride it, which was unfortunate because I really like that ride. My daughter slept for about an hour and a half. We ordered Contempo Cafe pickup, like, we mobile ordered it. The lunch there was really good. Or sorry, this would have been the dinner menu, I think, actually. I'm not sure, but we got rice bowls. I got a rice bowl with chicken, and my sister got a rice bowl with shrimp. They were both really good. So, I would recommend that. We headed back to Hollywood Studios. We got there around 6:30, and we had realized we literally just missed the last Frozen show. which we had kind of wanted to go and see if my daughter would like. And it started at 6:30 and we were like tapping in at 6:30. So we missed that. So we headed to the Muppets, and I also got a DAS for Mickey and Minnie's. It was a 70-minute wait. So we went ahead and headed over to the Muppets. We didn't have a DAS for this, but we didn't really need one. And I did leave my daughter in her stroller because of the crowd situation. I didn't know how long we would have to wait inside where everyone's gathered together. But it was actually turned out really well because they sat us in the front row. And that was really perfect for her. She loved this show.
Interesting.
Did not expect it. She loved it. You know how they say they won't be using any cheap 3D tricks or whatever, and then they do the whole time? She was like hook, line, and sinker for the cheap 3D. She was grabbing and reaching and trying to get everything the whole time. She was captivated by this. It was really cute. And then, so after that, so this is when we headed back to Mickey and Minnie's at about 7:20. Okay, sorry. So I do have in my notes, this is when the line was super duper long. Like they had someone holding a sign, like, at the end of it, like they normally do when the line is super long. This is how long it's going to be.
But in your case, it was the lightning lane.
It was the lightning lane.
Because normally they do that for the standby.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So I canceled our DAS and booked one for Millennium Falcon. It only had a 15-minute wait. So by the time we walked back there, we were going to be able to get on. And I was able to get a lightning lane for my niece really quickly as well. Again, totally unexpected. My daughter loved this ride. Like, she loved it. It was so funny. When they lined us up to get on, he was explaining, he was like, well, you're going to be the pilots. And I looked at my niece and my sister. I was like, do you want me and Claire to be the pilots? And they were like, yeah, it'll be fine. It was just total mayhem. I was glad nobody else was on I'm glad we didn't have a single rider who would have been bothered.
Yeah, the pressure.
Yeah. She thought it was so funny that she was driving and that it was crashing just constantly. It was really fun. It was the most fun I've ever had on that ride, even though we did terribly.
Well, then I'm glad nobody joined you. You just had a private little ride vehicle.
Yes. She actually struggled a little bit getting off of this ride, which is the first time that had happened. When you go in the pre-show area and Hondo is talking to you, I kept telling her, I said, he needs our help. I was signing to her, he needs our help. We have to drive and help him. And so she was she really likes that. She's a helper. She's very task oriented. And I think that's part of why she liked it so much, because she was very involved. And when it was time to get off, she kept using the sign for help and more. She wanted to help more. And I'm like, we have to get off. But it was really cute. So once we got off there, it was about 8:10. And we headed towards Fantasmic. And when we got back there, we were with the dining package area. So it was much less crowded, which was nice. They asked us if we wanted to keep her stroller or if we wanted to park it in a separate little area. And I kind of was like, I'm not really sure. I just want to say the cast member was so sweet. She was like, I said, well, she can walk from here to there. And it's whatever makes this a better experience for all of you. It's not about can she walk from there to there. What's going to make it better for you? And she said that multiple times. And it was really nice because I ended up saying, you know what, I think it would be better if we just kept her stroller with us. And it was. It ended up being a better seating situation for her. She had a little bit more space to not feel so sometimes, again, we struggle when we're in crowded spaces. So,
but did it also give it, because the benches that you sit on now, they feel does it feel too free if she's used to the stroller that kind of constrains her to a certain space?
No, it ended up being fine because where we sat, it's a 2-seater bench next to the stroller, and then the rest of my party sat right in front of us. And so she basically she understood kind of where she needed to be. She was either like in her stroller or she could sit like right in front of her stroller next to like my mom and sister. And so that was
So
good. She could kind of,
she had some options.
yeah, she could make some choices. And that was really nice that she had kind of a little bit of freedom, actually. But yeah, that was really nice. She did really well waiting, like, we were singing songs and stuff. I made the mistake, which you never know until afterwards, but I made the mistake of telling her that Mickey was gonna be in this show. I'm like, "Mickey's gonna be in this show, he's gonna come out in a little bit," and so she was really excited, she kept signing, "This is the sign for me," she kept signing for Mickey, and I was like, "Yeah, he's gonna be in the show," because then what happened when the show started was she was really excited to see Mickey, and then he leaves kinda quickly after that, and you don't see him again for a while, and that was not what she expected. And so she was actually just really mad after he left. She didn't like it. So I was like, well, that was my mistake. I shouldn't have told her that it was a show with Mickey because then she
It
expected Mickey the whole time.
it yeah, I was gonna say, he is there.
She kept asking for him though, like the rest of the time and asking like,
Mhm.
where did he go? She kept like kind of gesturing like, where is he? Where did he go? And looking for him. And so I was like, "Oh, goodness." She enjoyed it for probably the first 10 or 15 minutes, but then she was just, like, not interested, not engaged. I waited for like, another 10 minutes or so, but I don't know if it was where we were sitting, but it was so loud. It was it maybe because we were towards the back or something, I'm not sure, but I was like, "This is, like, actually kind of hurting my ears how loud it is." It was so loud. And so I also got her headphones out for her. I had taken her headphones with us, and that did help her calm down a little bit. But I actually ended up taking her out about 4 or 5 minutes before the end of the show. I will be honest, I have a little bit of crowd anxiety after nighttime shows,
Mhm.
especially. And so I was just like thinking to myself, she's already kind of struggling. And then we're gonna be in a mob of people, and
Mhm.
I I don't want any part of that. So, I ended up just taking her about 4 or 5 minutes, and I just said, "You guys stay till the end. I'm just gonna go to the car, and we'll meet you there." And so that's what we did. Like, we didn't miss a lot of it. I actually heard the end of the show as we were walking out, but we did avoid all of the
Mhm.
crowd.
I think the anxiety about the crowds is pretty relatable. It's something that we think about a lot too.
I hate it, especially when you have a stroller. It's
You get run over easily.
bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
You feel like you can't move or maneuver
Mhm.
anywhere. I mean, it's just so anyway, I really liked the addition of Moana. This is
Mhm.
the first time I'd seen it like that, and so I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the changes that had been made from previously. So, yeah, we went to the car. She watched her iPad and had her she just left her headphones on the entire time walking out. I think she just needed that, like, it helps relax her a little bit. So we got back to the resort around 10. I was still checking for Topolinos because it was the next morning. I still couldn't find anything. Oh, I put on here side note. Fantasmic, this was really funny to me. It was like being at a rock concert, not only like the loudness, but like the crowd was like raucous. People were like yelling and screaming for their favorite characters. Like when
What?
it was unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, when Maleficent came out, I mean, people were, like, hooting and hollering, and it was wild. I was like my sister and I looked at each other, I was like, is this, like, regular?" And she's, "I don't think so."
That is funny. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
It was wild, and it was, like, going on the whole time, like, different like, like, when Jafar had, like, a whole, like, crowd of people who were just, like, hooting and hollering.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if the cast members told people to cheer based on, like, the section you were sitting in or something.
It didn't seem like that's what was going on. It seemed like kind of organic, like people were just really
That's so funny. Instead of cheering for a rock star, you're cheering for a character that appeared in the show.
that is exactly what it was like. It was like how you would act when your favorite, like, artist comes out like on stage. That's exactly what was happening. It was so funny.
That is
Yeah.
so hilarious.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I've never seen anything like it, but that was the end of our day.
That was the end of your Friday.
Are dry eye symptoms frequently interrupting your day? Keep dry eyes off your schedule with Refresh Reliever PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your eyes. With innovative hydrocell technology to lock in moisture and prevent further irritation, Refresh Reliever PF Extra gives you lasting relief. Equipped with a soft squeeze multi-dose bottle featuring a double lockout system that keeps drops sterile, so you can feel confident using it. Refresh has been delivering relief from dry eye symptoms for 35 years. It's a track record of success that has earned the trust of physicians and patients alike. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
End of our Friday.
The next day was Saturday, May 17th, and it was a non-park day. And as you have talked about a couple times, you were trying to get into Topolino's with a fifth person.
Yes. So I got up around 7 on this day and had been looking for Topolino's like that morning. I found like a 7:40 or whatever, but like that wasn't going to work for us. And then my daughter got up around 7:30. And I should say this, I don't know why I was doing this. I had been searching for a one-person reservation that was close to our time. And in retrospect, I shouldn't have been doing that because, I mean, I guess I could have had my niece book it if I had found one, but I couldn't book 2 dining reservations.
That's correct.
I don't know why I was doing that.
I guess the move would be for you to modify, like your current one, or your niece to book a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's
I
a good
could
point.
have done that. Yeah, I could have. I mean, if I had found one, I could have done that. But afterwards, I just felt, I was like, why was I doing that? It was kind of silly. But I kept looking for things for one person. And then I finally was like, whatever. I'm gonna search for 2 people. And then I found one for 2 people. And I was like, oh, maybe I can book this. And that's when it was like, you can't book another one. And I was like, oh, well, that was silly of me. And so I was like, well, let me just search for 5. Let's just see what happens. And there were 3 times available for a party of 5. And one of them was at 9:30, which was only 30 minutes sooner than our original book. So I switched. I modified ours.
Good.
So the lesson here for people is if you really want to get into it, keep looking because it can happen.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Yes. So we all got up and got ready and went to Topolino's. The food was really good. The service was also really good. I know I've heard people say it's kind of spotty there. Our service was great. Everything was really good there. Claire was very interested in the characters, but she just wanted to watch them. She was like not really thrilled for them to come over and see her. It's just like a lot of stimulation. And when she doesn't have an outlet, she just has to sit there, it converts into like her kind of being whiny. So she was just being really funny about them. And then Mickey was showing her his apron because he was trying to get her to warm up a little bit. He was really good with her, but she noticed that it was dirty. And so she became very preoccupied with that. The whole rest of the time we were there, she uses the sign for dirty, and she kept telling us that he was dirty and he needed to get cleaned. I know, Claire. I know his apron's dirty and that's how she is, right? Like it's just that's part of her neurodivergence. But
He was cooking. Sometimes you get dirty when you're cooking.
Yeah. I'm like, she just couldn't get past it. We're like, we know he has a dirty apron. I don't know what to say. Yeah. So we did that. And then we got done here at 10:40 and headed over to Disney Springs and went to the World of Disney and a few of the other stores kind of like in that area, the Co-op, the candy store, Christmas shop. I was looking for a hat. This is like the 3rd time in a year and a half I've looked for a hat, like a women's hat. They just don't really have women's hats. They have visors and they have Mickey ears. And that's not what I want. I want a hat. So I couldn't find one. And I thought, well, maybe they'll have a men's hat and a small men's hat. No, they only have medium, large. So I was kind of disappointed. I couldn't find like a baseball cap is what I was looking for. But anyway, we finished up shopping there. And then after that, Claire and I went back to the resort. And the rest of them wanted to go to the outlets, like the Disney outlet. And my niece wanted to do some other Lululemon, like in that area, like outlet shopping. So Claire and I stayed at the resort because I knew she wouldn't be interested in that. And she just rested. This was one of those days where I noted that it was really nice to have those huge windows while she was resting. I could be like watching the boats, and it was just really neat. Like you could see the monorails coming and going, watching the boats going around. Like I just really enjoyed that. So she rested until about 2:45. And then she and I walked over to the stores at the Contemporary because there were a couple of things over there that I had seen I wanted to get, but I was waiting until after we went to Disney Springs. So we went over there and got a couple of those things. She found a princess watch that she just thought she had to have. I knew she wouldn't wear it. I tried to explain to her she has to put it on her wrist. She won't wear a magic band.
Yeah, that's what I
She
was
was
gonna
like,
say.
no,
Does she wear magic? Yeah.
no. She was obsessed with it. And I was like, you have to put it on your wrist. You have to leave it there. And she was like, yeah, okay. I got it for her. Spoiler alert, she does not leave it on her wrist. So the rest of my family got back about 3:30, and then we went ahead and got changed to go down to the pool. We stayed there until about 5:15 or 5:30. Then we changed and mobile ordered Captain Cook's. We talked on the pre-trip about how it will tell you, like, you can't order unless you're staying here, and it was doing that, but it was also doing it for the Contemporary. And I'm like, well, I'm literally in a room here. So it clearly is not tracking people's locations or anything. So you can order and it's fine. I don't think they'll let you in at the gate if you're driving. So
I think that is true.
So that's probably the difference. But we weren't. We were taking the monorail. So we headed over there about 5:35, and we got to the Poly around 6. And we hit the "We're Here" button when we were at the Ticket and Transportation Center because I knew it would take a long time for our food at Captain Cook's, and it did. So we kind of got to the Poly.
But also, it let you do it from there? Because that's pretty far away still compared to, when you're in the park, you kind of have to walk pretty close to a place to click the button.
Yeah, it
So,
let us do it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we just walked through the shops there. It was really busy. But it was like wall-to-wall people at the Polynesian. And it was like dinner time, I guess. I know they have multiple restaurants and lounges and whatever. But I mean, it was wall-to-wall people busy. Our food was ready about 6:20. I had gone ahead of the rest to wait for a table. Unfortunately, it's one of those situations where you have to kind of stalk the table. So I did that. But I did get one outside. We ate. We finished eating there. And then I wanted to walk over to the tower, the new Poly DBC tower, just to look at it and see kind of what surroundings were like, what the pool was like. So we did that. That was nice. We went into the lobby and kind of checked it out, looked at the pool. And once we were there, we were kind of like, well, it doesn't really make sense to walk back to the Polynesian to get on the monorail because now we're actually kind of closer to the Grand Floridian. So we just kept walking. We walked over to the Grand Flo, walked through the store there. The monorail was so busy. It was crazy. I don't know if it's just, I mean, we do this a lot where we go like resort hopping, and I just have never seen it so busy. Maybe it was just the time of day. It was a Saturday. It was just so busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's good that there's a walking path option.
Yeah. Yeah. We did end up getting on the monorail at Grand Floridian. but people didn't. There were people that were in line to get on and ended up having to wait for the next one. That's how busy it was. So we got back to the resort about 7:25. Claire had a bath and then relaxed and headed to bed early, which was good. She really needed that. We kind of just relaxed and decided that we would just go watch the Magic Kingdom fireworks from the bridge between Bay Lake Tower and Contemporary. So we went down, my niece, my sister, and my mom stayed in the room because my daughter was sleeping. And we went down there and watched that about 9:20. That's when it started. So that was fun. Yeah. They piped the music in and everything. I just said it was really nice to be able to just walk down quickly and do that.
And that was the end of your night, sounds like.
That was the end of that night. Yeah. Yep.
You had one. Oh, no, not one more. You had 2 more days.
2 more days.
Next day was Sunday, May 18th, and you were headed to Magic Kingdom, including Bibbidi Boutique.
Yes, this was our Bibbidi Bobbidi day. So we left the room at 7:55, tapped into Magic Kingdom around 8:10, stopped at the bathroom, and we actually had to ask, like, where do you go to get in? Because they have it closed off, So it's kind of a weird place that you have to go if you have a dining reservation at Cinderella's or a Bibbidi Bobbidi. You have to go around like through the Adventureland bridge, and then like on one of those little pathways. And it was odd. I never would have guessed that's where we were supposed to go. So so we went over there and they let us through. Of course, only Claire and then 2 adults could go with her. So the other 2 went. My mom and I went with her, and then the other 2 went and did some other things. I think they got coffee or something. We checked in early. Her reservation was at 8:50. Or her appointment was at 8:50, but we checked in at 8:30. And they pretty much got us in about then. We only waited maybe 5 minutes. She really liked this. Her Fairy Godmother's Apprentice, I think that's what they call it, was really great with her. She was like asking, what signs she was using, and she was like trying to sign with her as well. And she was really great. I was so surprised. Like, she sat still the whole time. She wanted her nails painted. She loved it. It was really sweet.
I know you were in the pre-trip. You were not sure. Like, she kind of likes the salon stuff, but is she going to do okay?
Yeah. But she liked, her stylist. And so she was very into it. We finished up there about 9:20. So the whole, like, really kind of from start to finish was like 45, 50 minutes maybe. And she wasn't in like the seat getting her hair and nails done that whole time. That was probably only maybe 30 or 35 minutes of it, which was good for her. It was a good amount of time for her. And once we finished up, we went over to Sir Mickey's to get some pictures. This was like, they did not end up taking very good pictures. And listen, I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time. Like, not everybody is used to, like, maybe sort of adjusting to a neurodivergent kid, but like the photographer there was just like she wanted me to she tried to make me like sit on the bench, and I was like, that's not going to work. I need to help explain what you're asking her to do. She's not going to she doesn't understand how to make her body do what you're asking her to do. I need to help her. So she was like, oh, okay. But she was kind of annoyed by it. And she just wasn't catching on. Like, she kept asking Claire to do things, and Claire was just like, I don't know what you want from me. And I'm like, okay, we need to do something different. So I started kind of like doing silly things with her stuffed animal. She had like her Woody stuffed animal. And then that's the only pictures we got of her smiling. So it was fine. Like, we got a few good pictures, but it was just kind of, I was just kind of like, okay, you got to try something different. Like, what you're doing isn't working. But that was okay. So after we did that, we headed over to Haunted Mansion. That was at 9:40. We had Lightning Lane and Das for that.
So at this point, you're joining with the rest of your group again?
Yes, I'm sorry. We joined up. They met us at Sir Mickey's.
Okay.
Yep. I forgot to mention that. And then we all headed over to Haunted Mansion, got on there at 9:40. Once we got off that, then we did Peter Pan at 9:55. And then got on Small World at 10:05. So we kind of knocked all of those things out very quickly, which was nice. Standby Skipper had gotten my niece a 1020 Pirates, but by accident, I canceled it. I was trying to click on a different. The app was slower than my fingers, and so I thought I was clicking on a different Lightning Lane, and it ended up being that one. And so I canceled it accidentally. I was mad at myself for that, but whatever. Once we got off Small World, we did a mobile order at Friar's Nook for some, like, breakfast tots, and then my mom and niece went to Gaston's. This was around 10:30, and we just found, like, a quiet place in the shade at Pinocchio's to sit. Once we ate, we then had a Das and Lightning Lane for Winnie the Pooh at 11. My daughter really liked this ride too. She wanted more of this one. After that, we headed over to the Tron gift shop. We had a little bit of time to kill because we had a Lightning Lane and Das for Buzz, but the Buzz line, I think, was like 35 or 40 minutes. So we had a little bit of time to kill. So we went over to the Tron gift shop, kind of just walked through there a little bit. And then by that time, it was time to get on Buzz. It was cute. We saw Chip, which by himself, which was weird because usually Chip and Dale was just Chip. He was wandering around pulling pranks. He was trying to tap into Buzz with the Lightning Lane, and he was like right in front of us. So like my daughter could see, he was just like right in front of us. So she thought that was really funny. We went to tap into the Lightning Lane, and this is new for anybody who uses like wheelchairs or strollers as wheelchairs. They have a totally new entrance if you have a wheelchair for Buzz. You used to walk through the ride, and they would take the stroller from you at the end. But now you go like around the back by where like Stitch's character meet and greet is. And they have a door back there that's open. And they have a cast member standing back there. And that's where you go in. And that's where they will scan your Lightning Lanes or DAS.
But did you get in the sort of the regular line expecting to be able to go in there, and then they redirected you?
Yeah, right before I put the magic band up to tap for our DAS, they were like, "Oh, you don't go in here. You have to go around." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was new. Yeah. So so you kind of go in the exit now is really the difference. They scanned our bands and we got on about 11:30. My daughter really liked this ride because, again, she could spin it. She liked that, like, involvement and, like, interactivity. She was just, like, giggling and laughing the whole time. So we got off and went to walk back to get her stroller, and you have to walk right, like, you have to kind of go back before the little gift shop area to go back out that exit door. And so the cast member is standing there, and my daughter was signing more, and I was saying to her, "We'll see if we can write it again another time. It's okay." And she heard us and she's, "Do you want to write it again right now?" And I was like, "Are you sure?" And she's, "Yeah, it's totally fine." And so I was like, "Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much." And so she took us right back on, and we were able to write it immediately again. So her name was Steph from Rocky Point, New York at Buzz Lightyear. And I gave her a cast compliment too.
Nice. I love that. One of my frustrations with how Disney World works is that if a kid likes a ride, it's really hard to go on it again, especially if you use a Lightning Lane.
Yep.
Or in your case, DAS.
Yeah. With the DAS, you can use them more than once, which is nice. But
you would
have to
have to wait that period again. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really sweet. It was just very nice of her to do that. It was one of those, special Disney moments where I was really grateful. Yeah. So then what did we do? Yeah. So while we were on Buzz, I think my sister had found another Lightning Lane for Pirates at some point during all of this. So then I went ahead and got a DAS for Pirates. And it was like a 25-minute wait. So that was going to work out with her timing just fine. I made a note. We got stuck at the very end of Buzz. So I actually was able to get Galactic Hero status only because we were stuck. It was kind of funny because I was riding with my niece and I said, I don't care about my points or whatever. Let's just take a cute picture We know where they take the picture. Let's just take a cute picture, ride photo. So she was like, okay, good plan. Well, we get stuck in that room where they take your ride photo. And I was like, well, I'm obviously just like still getting points while we're just sitting here not doing anything. And I was at like 800,000 when the ride started moving. But then at that point, I had abandoned the picture because I was like, no, now I want to get Galactic Hero. So my picture was terrible. I was uber focused. Yeah. So that was kind of funny. Yeah. So then we walked over to Pirates. Yeah. On our way, there was a cavalcade coming through right at that time, just as we were kind of getting ready to go into Adventureland. It was coming through like Liberty Square area. So we went back over there. My daughter really liked watching this. It was really cute. And she really liked that. So then we went over to Pirates and tapped in at 12. After this, my mom, daughter, and I headed back to the resort, and my sister and niece went to get something to eat. She wanted to get some food at Magic Kingdom. We did our regular rest. I didn't have any notes about what we did on this day. I think we did go swimming, though. We took my daughter swimming pretty much every day at some point during the rest, and I think she also took a nap this day. But we ended up leaving the resort about 4:30 to head back to Epcot.
In the pre-trip, you said your evening plans were flexible. So at some point, you must have thought, I need more Epcot time.
Yes. And actually, we needed more Epcot time even after this because so we went to Epcot. It was actually a decent like amount of time, but what happened was when we got there, I arranged a DAS for Guardians like right away, but it was a really long line. I think it was like 2 hours or something. It was really long. And then oh yeah, that was the other thing was my sister was able to find an individual lightning lane. And so she booked that because they had been sold, but she like saw one and snagged it. And so we had to wait until it was ready for that too. Our DAS was actually, I think we could have gotten on with our DAS like maybe 20 or 30 minutes sooner. So we were kind of beholden to the Guardians return times. So we went to the Imagination Pavilion. We stopped in the Visa card spot because I usually like to try to go there. I do have a Visa Disney card. It was like a 25-minute wait. And I'm like, what is the purpose of this place? I mean, not to be, I don't want to be ungrateful, but like you could go to the actual like character meet and greet. And I think it was like 20 or 25 minutes.
Yeah, it seems like it should be shorter.
Yeah, what are we doing here? I don't understand. So I was like, I'm not waiting that long for that. So we left and actually went back to the DVC lounge to kind of fill up with Powerade and get some snacks. And then we thought maybe they would have different characters because it was it started at 5:30, I guess, the characters. We thought maybe they'd have different ones, but they don't. They have the same characters through September, I think they said, which was fine. We enjoyed seeing Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde again. So then at this point, we got our scavenger hunt. We had scavenger hunt maps. We hadn't really used them when I bought them the other day. So then we started looking for them. I had anticipated that my daughter would really like this, and she did.
That's not how I thought that sentence was going to end.
She loved it.
I thought you were going to say, I thought she was going to like it, but she did not.
No, I called it correctly. She loved finding the bee. So that was really cute. It was really fun. She really enjoyed that. We actually walked over to Guardians because there wasn't really anything else we wanted to do like in that like part of the park. And we had the DAS, like we were ready for the DAS. It was like 15 minutes early for the individual lightning lane. And so I was like, I'm just going to ask, will they just let us get on? 4 of us have the DAS. It's in 15 minutes. It was a hard no. They said, nope. And I was like, that seems really silly to me, but okay. I know you have to have rules. So they wouldn't let us get on. Well, one of us 15 minutes early. So we went over to the playground and let my daughter play for a little bit. Then we headed back to Guardians. So we tapped in for Guardians at 6:50, and my daughter loved this ride. It
Mm.
was so funny. Like, she was so into it. When we got off, she just ran as fast as she could, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, she's running away." She was just so hyped.
Mhm.
She was, like, jumping all around. It was really cool. Yeah. Yeah, we got off at about 7:20, and so then the rest of our plan was just to do World Showcase and let her, like, find the bee. We were gonna stop and get some food at food booths and stuff. But the park closed at 9. So, I don't know if it start staying open later as the summer? Is it always closing at 9?
It usually does. Occasionally on the weekends, it'll close at 10. I
Yeah, it
did
was
it's wildly upsetting, and it's always been like this. They experimented with the thing for a while where you could pay to stay after, not an after-hours event, but like a World Showcase thing,
uh-huh.
because I just feel like the World Showcase lends itself to later, but 9 o'clock's pretty standard.
It seemed so early,
Mhm.
and because we had to wait to get on Guardians for quite a while, like, the night just really got away from us, honestly. Like,
Mm.
there was so many things that we wanted to do, and we wanted to, like, kind of take our time and do the bee scavenger hunt and get food. So, we did some of that, like, we stopped in Canada, we found a couple of other bees on the way, I think. My mom and sister got some stuff in Canada. There was, like, a band playing in Canada. My daughter really wanted to stop and listen. She really likes live music, but we just didn't have time. I was like, "We can't. Like, we have to keep moving," which I don't like that. I like being able to kinda go slow. We went to the UK, used the bathroom, went to the shops for a little bit, and then found the bee and headed over to France. I had gotten a DAS for Remy, but we didn't end up using it. We had a DAS for Remy and a lightning lane for Frozen because I thought, "Well, I can then get a DAS for Frozen." We didn't have time. Like, we didn't have enough time to do what we wanted to do. So, my mom went back to Les Halles in France. It's her favorite. She has a sweet tooth. She loves bakery items. So, she went back there to get some things. And while my daughter was with my sister looking for the bee again, I went and looked at the, like, little wine stop in France, and there was no one in there, which I've never seen before. Usually when I'm there, it's, like, a really long line, and I'm like, "Not worth it." There was no one in there. And so I was like, "Well, okay."
They were all lined up for Luminous.
Yeah, it was weird. So I went in there and I was being a little bit impulsive because I was like, "Well, there's no line. I don't," and then I was like, "I don't know what I wanna get." So I got the champagne, like, you can get, like, a little trio it's, like, small serving size. I don't usually drink champagne, but I do like it, and I was like, "Oh, it just sounds interesting. I'll just try all of them." They are so talented at pouring champagne at this place that you could actually see, like, liquid above the rim of every one of the little glasses, but it wasn't coming out. I was like but I couldn't pick them up.
Yeah, exactly. It would spill in, right?
I couldn't pick 'em up, and there was someone behind me at this point, and "We all know you have to just take a sip while they're sitting there. It's okay." Because I was like, "This is kind of awkward."
It's awkward, but you can't accuse him of skimping on the pour, I guess.
No, it was talent. So, he was like, "It's fine. Nobody's gonna judge you. We're all gonna do the same thing." I was like, "Okay." So, I had to take a little sip from each one of them before I could even pick them up. Well, then I was like, I'm really kind of in a bit of a situation because I have these 3 champagne I did not think this through at all. So, I had 3 really full glasses. Luckily, I found my sister pretty quickly, and I was like, "Can you take one of these and drink some of it and just hold it because this is a whole situation that I have gotten myself into now." So that was helpful, but it was very good. Waited a while for my mom to come out of the bakery because I think there was still quite a long line back there. So, yeah, so then I went over to La Isla Fresca. My daughter realized a little bit earlier in the trip that if I went to get like food or a drink item, that I should also be getting her something. So when she saw that I had those champagne glasses and I said, no, these are only for mommy, she was not having that. And she wanted a slushie. I think specifically, she couldn't say that, but I think specifically she wanted a slushie, like a special drink for her. So we went over to La Isla Fresca and they had a citrus slushie that I got for her. And I wanted to try the jerk chicken anyway, so I got that. It was really good. It was like a whole meal. I couldn't believe how big of a serving size. It was a whole chicken leg. It was amazing. At this point, it was 8:15. We were then in Morocco. We found the bee. I had mobile ordered a cheeseburger and some watermelon for my daughter, and my niece got mac and cheese in America because I was like, well, they haven't really eaten anything. This was the theme of the night. Everything just got away from us. Like it was just all chaos. So we found the bee in Morocco, then went to get their food. Oh, yeah, I know we had to stop in Japan, find the bee. We had some trouble finding him there. By the time we got to America, it was like 8:35, and we picked up our mobile order, and they sat for a couple of minutes and ate. At this point, it was like 8:50. I'm like, Luminous is starting in very soon. I did not plan to be all the way at the back of the park and watch as stated earlier, I don't like the crowd. I wouldn't want any part of that. So I was like, I just kind of want to head. I just want to walk. My sister actually ran ahead to get the cheese pretzel bread that my niece had really liked in Germany because the booths close at 9. And I just, again, agree with you. It seemed way too early for things to be closing.
Especially during warmer months and especially when it stays lighter longer.
Yes, like it had just gotten dark, it felt like. It was so weird. So the guy in Germany was not happy that someone was ordering something at 8:57. And so my niece got angry cheese pretzel bread and she said it was not good. She was like, this is not the same that I had the other day. And I said, well, it was not made with love. So my niece and I decided, because I said to my mom was like, I'm a fast walker anyway. And I was really trying to get out of there before the crowds to get to the monorail, especially. So I was like, can I just go? Can I just take the stroller and go? And like you guys, and my mom was like, yeah, that's fine. So my sister walked a little bit slower with my mom. And my niece was like, I want to walk fast as well. So we booked it. Like we were just walking super fast. We got to the monorail at 9:25. We sat on the monorail. It was there when we got there. We sat on the monorail for 15 minutes. It did not move. And I was starting to get worried. So then they got us off the monorail. And then we had to wait for a new one to come. It was actually waiting for us. They towed the one that we were on away the direction we were supposed to be going. So then we got on the new monorail and it went backwards. And I was like, what's going on? And they came on and they were like, please don't panic. We know we're going backwards. This is what we have to do because they had to tow the other one away. And so we couldn't move forward. So we have to go backwards back into the TTC. Funny enough, because of all of that, my mom and sister, the monorail when we got on originally was not all the way full. And because of all of the delay, my mom and sister actually ended up getting on the new monorail in a different car.
So they were on the same ride as you.
Yes, they ended up making it on, which was funny. So that was about 9:40. We started moving backwards towards the TTC. We got to Magic Kingdom around 10 and walked back. We got back to the resort about 10:15. So that was just, it was almost an hour from the time we got on the monorail till we got back to the resort.
Yeah, I bet you wish you had driven that day.
Yes, the whole thing was so bizarre, but I was actually the one thing I was really glad about is that we weren't on the next monorail because now they weren't going in a loop anymore. That one monorail just had to keep going back and forth the one way. And so it was going to end up taking a lot longer for anybody that was behind us.
What a nightmare. And leaving Magic Kingdom that night feels like it would have been a nightmare for all the people trying to get on the monorail all at once.
Yes, Magic Kingdom was crazy because it closed at 10. So we were getting there as it was closing too. Which was fine. Like we just walked through the crowd. And then once we got to the walkway to Contemporary, it was fine. But it was mayhem. Yeah. So,
Well, yeah, all right. Well, that was a weird way to end the day.
Are dry eye symptoms frequently interrupting your day? Keep dry eyes off your schedule with Refresh Reliever PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your eyes. With innovative hydrocell technology to lock in moisture and prevent further irritation, Refresh Reliever PF Extra gives you lasting relief. Equipped with a soft squeeze multi-dose bottle featuring a double lockout system that keeps drops sterile, so you can feel confident using it. Refresh has been delivering relief from dry eye symptoms for 35 years. It's a track record of success that has earned the trust of physicians and patients alike. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
But you had one more full day left. Your pre-trip, you said you had Epcot planned for the morning.
yes, which is, we had actually changed plans on the trip to go back to Hollywood Studios because my niece really wanted to ride Rock and Roller Coaster and we had not done Mickey and Minnie's. And so we switched plans to go back to Hollywood Studios. But after the previous night, that night I was like, we did not get done most or like a lot of things I wanted to do in Epcot. Like Epcot's my favorite park. We didn't go in any stores in the World Showcase. Like it was just, we didn't have time. So, and then my daughter had loved Guardians so much. I was like, should we just go back to Epcot because we could ride Guardians again and then we can go do like shops and stuff like that. So we switched back to our original plan.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was going to be your plan because when you were talking about the night before, you said time got away from you, you didn't get a lot done. And so I thought maybe you were feeling like this is all the time you had. But you did have another day.
Well, yes, but no, we didn't know that. Like in that moment, we had planned to go to Hollywood Studios.
Okay, you had to switch it.
Yes. So then that night when we got back, I was like, actually, we didn't for sure change our plans till the next morning.
Okay.
Because we woke up and we had all kind of slept in because we had gotten back so late. And we woke up and like my daughter slept in a little bit. And I said to my niece, I was like, rope drop is not happening at Hollywood Studios. You're not going to you're going to wait in line for Rockin'. Should we just go back to Epcot? So that's what we ended up doing. And we did drive. We had now, like, it took us a long time to learn our lesson about the saga of the monorail, but we drove this day. It took us 25 minutes from leaving Bay Lake Tower until we tapped in. Because I was just curious. I was like, is it faster to drive? And if the monorail is working correctly, it is probably the same.
But if you have to just sit there.
But if you have the ordeals that we do, yes. So we got to Epcot about 9:30. Guardians was a 2-hour wait at that point. So I got a dash return time at 11:20. We went to get coffee. My niece went to get coffee. And while we were waiting for her, I checked. This was about 10 minutes later. I checked again and the line had gone down to, I don't remember what it was, but it was like maybe only 90 minutes or something like that, 100 minutes. So I canceled the dash and rebooked it. So then they were able to get back on, I think at 10:50. So that was nice. It helped a little bit. We went back to Mexico because I did want to ride Grand Fiesta. We had not ridden that. It was down. The bummer. I know that's a theme sometimes. I'm like, it's a boat ride. I
know. It's so strange.
It was, yeah. So that was unfortunate. So we kind of looked around. We went back to Norway, got some stuff at the bakery there and ate that. After we were done eating, it was about 10:40, and so I should say we didn't have a lightning lane for Guardians on this day. We just had the DAS, and I had said, "I won't ride. I'll stay off," because I really wanted to go back into the stores in World Showcase. I wanted to get a gift for my husband and stuff, and that's where I wanted to get it. So, at that point, we split off, and they took my daughter to ride Guardians, and I went back into the World Showcase. So this was my alone time. I had 1 hour of alone time. So, yeah, I went back. It was really nice, though, because it wasn't crowded since it was kind of early still. I got a sparkling rosé in Italy. It was really good. And I just kind of walked around, went into some shops, looked at the koi fish, got some gifts for people, and just enjoyed the ambiance. It was hot this day. I'll say this Monday, it was more like August heat. The other days had been warm, but bearable.
Yeah, you had some unseasonal temperatures here at the end.
Yes. Sunday was warm. It was more humid on Sunday too, but this day it was like August heat. There was like no air movement at all. So it was getting pretty hot. I made my way around the World Showcase while they were riding, went into all the shops and stopped and got poutine, just regular poutine at Refreshment Port for my sister. And I met back up with them at Connections Café at 11:50. We ate our poutine and then decided to go ahead and head back to the room because it was really hot and humid. And Claire was pretty tired, but she very much enjoyed Guardians again. So that was good. I'm glad we got to let her do that again. We went back to the room. Claire did take a nap again, and we mobile ordered Steakhouse 71 to go on this day and picked it up at around 2:00. Just a note for anybody who orders from Steakhouse 71 to go, they aren't like open all the time. Like they have particular hours. So just check that. I think 2:00 was the latest we could have picked up our order.
I think so.
Yeah.
Those monorail resort table service restaurants do tend to have specific hours for like lunch, dinner. And sometimes you run into issues because the Halloween party and Christmas parties, you can get in at 4, and sometimes people are trying to eat right before that, and none of those restaurants are available.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah, so we ate lunch. My daughter was still napping. She woke up around 2:30, and we decided to go ahead and take her to the pool. We swam until about 4:15 or 4:20. She really enjoyed that. She liked the slide. She liked the pool. It's not even the greatest pool, honestly. It's kind of, but
Yeah, it's not one of the strengths of the Contemporary.
it is not. Or Bay Lake Tower. I mean,
Yeah, or
neither
Bay
one
Lake.
of them have.
Mhm.
They don't have the splash pad was broken, and the splash pad at Bay Lake Tower is very unimpressive.
Mm.
I'm like, and this is even what's going on here? But it wasn't working. So anyway, we swam. That was really nice. So my niece and I both did want to try to get to Tom Sawyer's Island just because we knew this would be the last time we could ever do it. I have not been to Tom Sawyer's Island in forever. So it's not like it's like my favorite thing, but it was just like one of those. I used to do it as a kid a lot, and it was the last time. So it closed at 6, I believe. So we knew that we needed to kind of make sure we had enough time to get over there. It was so hot and humid this day. I just put that in my notes again. Like no air movement at all. We had fans and stuff. I had a fan in my daughter's stroller, but it was like miserably hot. And we got to Times Sawyer's Island. Of course, there's no air movement there either. It was bad. There was very few people over there. We ended up going over at I think like maybe 5:30, 5:25, 5:30. And then we were getting back to the loading dock off of Tom Sawyer's Island right at 5:55. They were still taking people over. So I don't know how long they still take people over if they close at 6, but we wanted to go to the DVC lounge, the new DVC lounge at Magic Kingdom too. So because we had my daughter's stroller on Tom Sawyer's Island, which ended up being useless, we couldn't really use it anyways, but my sister and I couldn't get on the same boat because we had to board last. So my mom and niece were ahead of us, and we were like, "Go check into the DVC lounge." We weren't paying attention. It closes at 6. So they went in for 5 minutes, but they took a video so we could see it, and they got a bunch of cookies and filled their water bottles. So it looks lovely, and the cookies were really good. So we then then we went and rode the train. We wanted to ride the train also. I don't know. Yeah, my daughter has ridden the train before, but it's been a little while. So we rode the train. We got on Frontierland. Luckily, there was a train right in the station. And so we just rode it all the way around and came back to the same spot. So we didn't have to worry about taking her stroller with us. I had gotten a DAS for Tiana's, and Standby Skipper also got a lightning lane. So we were able to, once we were done with the train, we stopped in the bathroom, and then basically just got on Tiana's. And my daughter had ridden this twice before. She rode in September and then again earlier on this trip. And she didn't seem like thrilled with it. But both of those times, she had been in between 2 adults. And I said, I think she would like it better if she was just like sitting in her, not squished between 2 people, and she could, because it's hard for her to see. You know, those boats like go up kind of high when you're little.
Yeah, that would be very cramped to have the 3 of you in one row.
Yeah. And like where like the boat comes up like pretty high, like to her like forehead almost. So she can't like really see out that much. And so that's what we did. She sat next to me by herself, and she liked it a lot better this time. So I was glad that we did that. We were also in the front, so we got really wet, and she, again, loves shenanigans and chaos. So she thought that was incredible. She just thought that was the best thing, because I would yell every time. I was like trying to avoid getting wet, so I'd like kind of duck down. But you don't anticipate that you get splashed like literally 2 seconds after you think you're going to. So I'd be like, "Oh no." And she just loved that. She thought that was really funny.
It was so hot. I'm sure that it felt a little bit of a relief.
It was fine. It was totally fine. Yes. So once we got off there, it was a little after 7. And honestly, it was still really hot and humid, and we were all just kind of ready, like, to call it a day. I feel bad because we could have stayed longer and done more things, but it just wasn't worth it. We wanted to go back and pack up and that kind of thing. So we stopped and got a Dole Whip and then just headed out. The weather had just kind of started to become a little bit tolerable at this point. It was more cloudy, that kind of thing, but it's okay. Like, it was just, we needed to go back, and I wanted my daughter to be well rested for the travel day the next day. So the rest of the party stopped at the confectionery, and Claire and I headed back to the room. We did end up getting dinner from Contempo Café again. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but there wasn't really anywhere in Magic Kingdom we wanted to eat either. And I got the same chicken and rice bowl that I had gotten before. It was really good. It was like if you eat at Chipotle or Qdoba, like getting a bowl there. That's how good it was. It comes with guacamole and pico and like a queso. It was very good.
Well, you and I are recording over lunch, so all of this food talk is making me hungry.
Yeah, so we packed up, and my daughter went to bed. We watched the fireworks from Luminous again from our window. We saw the water parade for one last time, and just kind of, got things packed up, and that was the end of that day.
That was the end of that day and your last park day, because the next morning was Tuesday, May 20th, and you had a morning flight out of Orlando.
Yes. We finished packing up that morning on Tuesday and mobile ordered breakfast. Around 8:40 we went, and even though we had mobile ordered, we just sat there and ate it. We just didn't want to have to wait in like the line. It was so crowded in Contemporary, as you know, Chef Mickey's and all of that. It was just kind of madness how crowded it was over there. A lot of people actually at Contempo Café too, stopping and getting things on their way out. So I was glad we mobile ordered. We got everything loaded up and in the car and pulled out at 9:30. Oh, I did have a stroller pickup this morning too, and that was at 8 a.m. So that went smoothly. No issues with that. My daughter was very upset for her stroller to go. It was like became a buddy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how hard is it to navigate without the stroller? Because you still had to get to the airport.
I brought a fold up umbrella type stroller for that purpose.
Okay.
Yes. It would be really hard for her to get through all of that without a place to be like that. And I she needs containment sometimes. So
What do you use at home? Do you use the umbrella stroller?
we have a wagon that folds up that we use at home sometimes. She also has an adaptive stroller that's basically like a wheelchair, but it's like a hybrid between a wheelchair and a stroller that we use at home.
And
But it
is the reason I'm asking is I'm trying to figure out for people that are trying to debate renting a stroller versus bringing their own. So the adaptive stroller is there must be good reasons you don't want to travel with it.
Yeah, there are a couple. One, it's very bulky. Because it's like part wheelchair, it doesn't fold up like other strollers, and it's
Uh-huh.
very heavy.
So you getting that on and on off in the car or transportation or something.
Yeah.
That would be a lot.
It would be, yes, and it's like, yeah, it's just like very, very cumbersome. And I also don't like traveling on an airplane with it because it's extremely expensive. And
Get beaten up.
Yes.
The other thing I was thinking about is if you did have to park it, I guess because you get to use it as a wheelchair, you don't have to leave it in the regular stroller parking. But I would be afraid of it being rained on or stolen or something like that.
All of those things. Yes. It also is not, so an adaptive wheelchair, I mean, it's like it is a medical device. It is not necessarily like I do see people using them in the parks, especially if you have a kiddo who like genuinely is like not ambulatory. It makes sense. And they're pretty durable, but they're not as easy to like push and navigate and turn as like a Bob, which is what we rented. They're just easier to like turn and maneuver than the adaptive stroller. So there's like kind of a list of reasons that I don't use it for that purpose.
Okay. So this morning, your daughter was sad to see the stroller go, but then you had the umbrella stroller to take to the airport.
Yes, but she was very sad. It was like a whole thing that she had to say goodbye to the stroller. We left around 9:30. We got to the airport around 10:10. There was a little bit of slow traffic, so it took, maybe 5-10 minutes longer than usual. The worst line or worst like thing at the airport was the line to drop off our checked bags at Southwest. And I know that's common.
Super common because for now they're free.
Yeah.
So people do it a lot more.
People do it a lot more. So yeah, we got our tags and that wasn't a problem. But then the line, I mean, it literally was like along one entire wall. And then they kept the like tile, like hallway area clear. And the line started on the other side of that tile, like hallway area. And it was like, I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
And it was a Tuesday.
And it was a
Like,
Tuesday.
The least busy usually, or one of the least busy days.
Yes. So we got in the line, and like a couple of minutes after we got in the line, there was a Southwest staff member who said, there's no line if you go outside to the curbside. It's just a tip service, right? And so we were like, that would be fine. We don't mind tipping. But we were also like really close to where you drop your oversized bags. And I don't know why, but like the worker over there, he was like, I'll just take them. So like I have my daughter in the umbrella stroller. I have a backpack for myself, and then I also have a backpack for her. And I have 2 large suitcases because she travels with a special needs travel bed, which has its own like large suitcase. And so I don't know if he just felt bad for us or not, but he was like, I'll just take them over here. I can take their bags. We just had to show him our ID. And that was really nice. So we didn't have to go all the way back outside. We just had to literally go like a few feet up to him. So I ended up tipping him very nicely because he took all 5 of our bags and he didn't have to do that. But that saved us a lot of time and effort. So I appreciated him for doing that. And then we got to security. I have TSA pre-check, but nobody else in my party does. So we split at that point. It was actually kind of a funny little test of the difference.
I'm curious what the time difference was.
It was about 20 minutes. So pretty significant.
Especially when I mean, 20 minutes with your daughter would have felt like a lot.
And that is like nightmare scenario with her. Like it's bad. So she and I went into the TSA pre-check line. I mean, we literally got in the line from the time we stepped into the line until we were on the other side of security and she was back in her stroller was 5 minutes. It was so fast. And
Nice.
yeah, it was so well worth it. We don't need it in Indianapolis. It's pointless. Usually the TSA pre-check line in Indianapolis is longer than the regular security line, which is silly. It is. But it's well worth it for MCO. So we went ahead.
I feel like
Yeah.
MCO gets kickbacks for people signing up for TSA pre-check because everybody's, man, I wish I had that.
Yes. Yes.
The lines are not good.
It was so well worth it. So my daughter and I went ahead and got on the train because I wanted her to use the bathroom. Again, we're still potty training. She did really well during this trip. I was so proud of her. The last time we went to Disney in September, we had been potty training and she regressed completely, like back to not potty trained at all. So I was really worried. But she
Is that
did
because
great.
using public toilets is
Yes.
so much different?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's a relatable thing. It's very different than using your home bathroom versus the loud flushing noises in the public bathrooms.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been prepping for this. We've been going to lots of novel bathrooms. But she did great. So I wanted to get her back to the restroom though as quickly as possible. So we went and got on the little train and like we were able to get on that, get off, go to the bathroom, which takes a while with her, and then walked around for a few minutes. She was walking around. We found a seat and then my family came back. So it was at least 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer that it took them. So our flight was all good. Everything was on time. My mother-in-law picked us up and we were back home at about 4:00. So
Are dry eye symptoms frequently interrupting your day? Keep dry eyes off your schedule with Refresh Reliever PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your eyes. With innovative hydrocell technology to lock in moisture and prevent further irritation, Refresh Reliever PF Extra gives you lasting relief. Equipped with a soft squeeze multi-dose bottle featuring a double lockout system that keeps drops sterile, so you can feel confident using it. Refresh has been delivering relief from dry eye symptoms for 35 years. It's a track record of success that has earned the trust of physicians and patients alike. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
So overall thoughts about traveling this time of year?
So I would say so I had a couple of notes of things, just like lessons or things to say. We had no rain, which might be unusual, but it made a huge difference in our ability to like really make the most of those like midday breaks so that we could swim. Like it made a huge difference that we didn't have rain. It didn't interrupt like our evening schedule or anything like that. So that was really nice. I think if the weather had been like it was the first 4 days we were there, it would have been warm but pleasant. The last 2 days we were there, it was like hot, humid. You felt like you were in an oven. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
did.
like that at all.
It was really above average.
Yeah.
It's hard because I have it on my weather app on my phone. I'm always looking at Orlando, and I'm like, oh no.
Yes. Yeah, we've gone in August and September several times in the last few years, and there's been times when I have felt like it was worth it because the crowds were so low in August or early September. But I don't know. Honestly, at this point, like we also went last January And I'm like, I think I only want to go in cool weather.
I know. It's really hard.
It's
After you
really
go in
hard.
January, it's hard to go the other months.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Yeah. I'm like, I don't think I want to go back anytime, May through November, like through October. I don't think I
Mhm.
can. It's too hot.
I guess the only downside is in January, it's not always warm enough to swim. So if people want to swim, guaranteed, you might have to go a different time, but it's so nice usually.
That is very true. When we went last January, I did swim with my daughter most days, but it was a little chilly, and we ended up usually kind of swimming. We were at Wilderness Lodge, and so they have like really big hot tubs there, and we ended up kind of swimming in the hot tub. So
Yeah, that's definitely the move when it's milder weather. How'd you feel about staying at Bay Lake Tower?
love staying at Bay Lake Tower. The remodeled rooms were great. You can't beat that you can walk to Magic Kingdom in 8 minutes.
Yeah, that is
I,
nice. I just wish the monorail worked better for you.
the monorail is irritating because in your head you're like, oh, like we don't have to drive to 2 parks. But then as you can see, like the monorail is just unpredictable, I think. And so you may end up having to. So,
Did you end up using the temporary tattoos for your daughter?
oh yeah, we did actually. And they stayed on really well. They did start coming off in the pool. So I got enough that if we needed to put another one on in the evening, we could. But we didn't have any problem with them staying on, and she didn't mind them at all. So I liked those.
Good.
Yeah.
And if you send a link to the Etsy shop, we'll link to them in the show notes for people
Okay.
that are interested.
Yeah.
Did you have other notes that you wanted to share?
Yes. I think I mentioned this already. Standby Skipper, 2 thumbs up. Love it. Totally would recommend it.
Mhm.
Once you kind of figure out how to do it, I'll say I messed up a couple of things. Like one of the days, I think it was the day we had planned to go to Hollywood Studios. I had changed my niece's multi-pass to Hollywood Studios. And then when we changed our minds and went back to Epcot, it was totally my fault. Like I set Standby Skipper to look for some like Frozen or Remy's. And I was like, why is it not finding anything? Well, because I didn't change her multi-pass to Epcot from Hollywood Studios. So it wasn't Skipper's fault. It was mine. But it's just, you have to coordinate something, especially then when you're using an extra service like that. So yeah. Yeah, and I did mention also, I think earlier, about the bathrooms that accommodate bigger kids or adults that need more assistance. The only bathroom that I know of, the only companion bathroom that I know of that has a full adult size like changing table is in Epcot at the Communicore Hall. It's
And-
really nice.
And that's a new one.
It's new, yes, but it's a really nice fold down, like it's like a top of the line fold down bed for people who have large kids or adults that need that kind of assistance. But that's the only one I know of. Otherwise, I just wanted to mention that because it's not something that I've looked before. And some of the bathrooms have longer like baby changing tables in the bathroom that technically my daughter can fit on. But she knows, like, we only have to change for certain situations for bowel movements, and she knows it's it's private.
Mhm.
And like even when we're at home, we always go to the bathroom, and so it makes her really uncomfortable to be like out in the open like that in a bathroom like where you would change a baby.
Yeah, because babies and toddlers don't know, but your daughter's 6. She knows.
She knows, and so yeah, and so it just creates a little bit like obviously you problem solve, and when you have a kiddo that has different kinds of needs, like I think parents like us get very creative, but it's just unfortunate kind of that there aren't more places to accommodate.
Yeah. I hope that they will add more of those. It seems like a no-brainer since they try
Yeah.
to be, accommodating for lots of different kinds of families.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so those were the main things, and then just the DAS lightning lane coordinating lessons, but I think we've kind of talked through some of those. Don't try to do it all by yourself. Have someone else who understands how all of the systems work together if you're going to try to do it, but it is doable.
Yeah, I think one of the appeals of the trip reports like this is people like to see what things are like in action. It's one thing for us to write an article about how to do it, but it's another to see how it works in practice. And that's how you do it. You did it.
Yep, it's doable. That's the takeaway. You can do it. We only had one ride where we had to ask to ride together, and then I think only 2 times where we couldn't coordinate to have a lightning lane and a DAS at the same time. So I think that's actually pretty good.
You obviously get to travel fairly often, and your daughter has an annual pass. So, do you have future trip plans?
I think we're maybe going in February with a different sibling. I have a very large family, and so with a different sibling and his wife and kids, I think in February, which the weather would be really nice. Hopefully that works out for us to be able to do that. I will say it's really funny because I send pictures and videos like of my daughter, and I have a lot of siblings, and everybody like there's like a line to go to Disney World with Claire. Everyone wants to go with her because I mean, it's just like pure joy. Like it's just, I did say though to one of my siblings, because he doesn't even really like Disney World. And he's, oh, I have to go with her now. She's so sweet and adorable. And I was like, well, I'm not sending you the videos and pictures of her whining and crying. So just keep that in.
Yeah, you're seeing the happy moments.
Yeah, that's right. It's edited.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share because in addition to coordinating DAS and lightning lanes and your daughter and all this, you took notes and I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed my conversations with Abby. We did keep talking on Patreon for the after chat, including a question I had for her about the DAS qualifying process, which was especially difficult this time. And she was willing to discuss it in the after chat, amongst some other things. So if you're a patron, be sure to look for that in audio and video form. If you're not a patron, please come join us. We would love to have you. I think that'll wrap up this episode of WDW Prep to Go. For more information, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website, WDWprepschool.com. Click on podcast at the top, scroll down to episode 464. Until next time, I will see you on the site.